Gonna go live. Oh, I didn't even name my stupid stream. God damn it. Crap. Alright, let me see if I can edit that. Random Shay, hello. Hi guys. Just editing a few things here right now. Let me know if that changes. Recording true scary stories for tomorrow. Join to watch the live process. Okay, so that is saved. Wonder if that'll actually change or not. DJ Donnelly, it's your B-Day, huh? Happy B-Day. We're gonna have a good B-Day stream. Let me know if that music's too loud for you guys. Just something to chill to before we kick off with the spooky. Aaliyah, yeah, this is my real, the true. Okay, all the changes saved. Good with that. Welcome everybody back to the party. Making a normal thing out of this, huh? Hey, no blue screen so far. We don't want to jinx it though, so. Yeah, Zach, if you want to send me a story, all links in the description. Go to the subreddit. Let's Read Official. Submit your story. And everyone go there and read the stories. And leave some comments. Let each other know what you think. I'm gonna let some people roll in here for a little while. If you guys want to ask me anything, feel free to. Get you guys in the mood, and then drop that mood into the spooky world of true scary story. Yeah, this is kind of like one of those like jazz hip hop DJs. Like, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to that late night lo-fi hip hop. Feel it. T-Ray, it is spooky time. And guys, we got 10 stories, 10 good ones lined up for you. This is gonna be within the true scary story realm. It's always funny in these like lo-fi chill hip hop songs, like they'll always use that like sound bite from The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, or I forget which one it's from, but he's like, hey, listen! Do I watch Pet Sematary? I've seen Pet Sematary. I watched that when I was younger, and that really messed with me because that one kid got hit by a freaking semi out front. Oh, I guess they did make a remake recently, didn't they? And they bury the kid and try to bring him back to life because they're all like grieving. Sarah, what's up? Shout out to you. What's going on? Barrow's other account says, I'm on the way back from Tulsa, back home to Kansas City. Always listen to your stories on my drives. Keep it up. Look forward to the stories you have tonight. Absolutely. Hello, the cat. Where's the cat? Cat's not in the room right now. He was here for a bit, but then he goes through his cycles of sleep in my room, poop, pee, eat, or eat, poop, pee, not in that exact order. And then he goes and lays in the living room for a while. Sometimes he goes in the basement to hang out in my roommate's room. He goes through his, he hits his spots, his cycles. Usually all of those cycles involve some sort of sleeping at some point. Am I reading any books right now? Can't say I am, honestly. I wish I did more, but a lot of I'm just like kind of like everybody else. Not everybody else, but a lot of people who play some video games. And yeah, a lot of my free time besides pretty much I go to the gym, record stories, and now I'm streaming more with you guys, and then play video games, eat food, living the life. Glitch in the Matrix stories, yeah. Sometimes we get some of those in the Zach says he's a Mercy main. I like that. I always need a Mercy main on my side. I will carry you to victory as Hanzo. Play a lot of Overwatch. I'm pretty ready to get off of Overwatch. They got a new hero and it's cool and all, but I just don't care anymore, even though I play it. I think I just play it out of like general familiarity and nothing that I'm like too stoked about moving on to. Played Apex a little bit. And it's okay. I'm not a huge fan of Battle Royales. It's just like, whatever. Another freaking Battle Royale game. It has like Call of Duty mechanics, which is fine, because it's nice and seamless and everything about it works fantastically well. It's just kind of like, I don't know. Please play Resident Evil 2 Remake. I do have it. I'm very bad at it. Been happy to like stream more because of kind of being able to kill two birds with one stone with these recordings and streaming. So what do you guys say, guys? Ready to... We got about 150 people in chat now, and we can kick this off if you guys are ready to hear some spooky tales. Of course, I gotta hit up my man, Iron Cthulhu Apocalypse. He's the go-to spot for dark ambient. I really changed up the mood there, didn't it? Ooh boy. Do 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 do. Man, that is real creepy. Hopefully that music's not too intrusive on you guys. We're gonna switch over to these stories. So this first one should be good, because I always enjoy the stories about like school and high school, and especially ones where it's like involves like weird girls, you know? I know that sounds strange, but you know, you always hear stories about how weird guys are all the time, creeping on girls and stuff. I guess mainly because it's just like the constant biological desire or whatever. But with girls, when they go into it, it's gonna be good. Ricky Cole with the 2. Thank you, Ricky. Spooky is here. Spooky, I want to thank you for color coding those stories. That made life a lot easier, and it was really cool. gonna turn that down on my ears a bit. Are Nice Girls. I've never been to Are Nice Girls. That seems... It could either be like a great place to visit or get me in some trouble. Alright. So as you guys know, I'm going to record 10. So basically, as many of you may be familiar, I got the microphone hooked up to my face, which is what you guys are hearing, and the slightly better microphone in front of me that will be recording the high quality, beautiful stories that you will hear here tonight. Now, to kick it off, we are going to record 10 seconds of silence to use for later to remove the background noise, starting now. Alrighty. We got that out of the way. That's the easy part, right? Yes, let's bring Kitty to the stream. Cat reveal, the fans are asking for it. I should just do a cat reveal every time, and you guys can bring everybody over to Discord. Guys, follow me on Discord, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and you might get yourself a cat reveal. Miranda Spiny with the 5 says, I owe you this. I told you I'd get you. I was a free cents short last time, so there you go. You earn it. Thank you, Miranda. I appreciate it. Yo, can you check my dono on Streamlabs? Yeah. Did I miss one from before? Apologize if I did. Is it still Puff Cakes, I wonder? Let's see, my donations. Oh yeah, there it is. How did I miss that before? Was that from... So it's today's the 28th. And yeah, Puff Cakes, $2. Did you miss Corpse Husband? Do you miss Corpse Husband? Because I do. I do miss Corpse Husband. He's a good man, and good news is that I believe he was kind of, you know, going through life things like all of us, and he is going to be making more stories this March, or recording more stories, more videos. So you guys might be able to get some hype behind that. Tell him Let's Read sent you, and you can pressure him into recording something because we need him back. Jaywalker, man, I can't keep up with every aspect of the chat, man. It's good to see you. All right, we're jumping into this here. There was a girl that's been stalking and harassing me since October of 2018. We were in the same class at high school 6 years ago. She was super shy, never spoke in class, and barely had any friends. I can't remember speaking to her more than once or twice through all of high school. To me, she didn't even exist. Then all of a sudden, many months ago, I woke up to a message on my Facebook's inbox. Alright. Right out the gate, we got the F word. Which, if you guys aren't familiar with YouTube nonsense, I mean, I can say it in stream, fart. But whenever you do it on your videos, sometimes it triggers things, and if someone has to manually review your video for monetization and stuff like that, it can get a bit hairy. So I have to watch my profanity. We got the swear jar all set up. Yeah, instead of fuck white people, it's fornicate white people. That sounds actually way more enjoyable. And I think it means the same thing anyways. Vanikin says, yo, Let's Read, how you hope you had a good day so far. Yeah, good day so far. We are kicking off here. Alright, so what are we going with here? Then all of a sudden, many months ago, I woke up to a message in my Facebook inbox that read, fuck white people. Okay. Maybe I'll just say F. What do you guys think about that? F. Then all of a sudden, many months ago, I woke up to a message in my Facebook inbox that read, F white people. She is Asian, from what country I do not know. I thought this was really strange, so I replied back, what's going on? She had blocked my messages. I decided to just ignore it and go on with my life. About a month had passed, and I woke up to yet another message in my inbox. She had sent me a screenshot of an Instagram account in my name. No posts or followers, just an empty account with my name. I kind of freaked out a little and tried to reply, but yet again she had blocked my messages. I tried to find the account on Instagram but couldn't. My name is very uncommon, so the possibilities that this was another guy's account was very slim. It certainly wasn't my account. I was very confused and kind of scared that she had created an account with my name and would post things pretending to be me. I contacted one of her high school friends and asked if she could deliver a message for me since I had no way of reaching her. To my surprise, they weren't friends anymore and hadn't spoken in months. I told my closest friends about what had been happening, and they told me that they had received some strange messages too. I was seriously confused by this point. This one girl who nobody talked to or had any kind of relationship with was sending pictures of Instagram accounts, weird memes, and 3-word sentences that made zero sense to me and many of my friends. I tried to think of why she did this. Had we treated her badly at some point? But I couldn't think of anything that we had done. I remember giving her a piece of gum one day, but that's about as close as any communication happened between us. I decided I would just try to ignore her and hope she wouldn't send me any more messages. But then around Christmas time, I woke up to my Facebook exploding with notifications and messages. I think I had around a good 100+ notifications. She had been sharing all of my profile pictures and... Oops. You've been sharing? Miranda Spiny $2 says Spin-E. Oh, okay, that's how you pronounce the last name. That's good. I like that last name. Spinny. Like a perfect on the basketball team. Let's go, Spinny, you're in. Alright, Spinny, you're up. On deck. She had been sharing all of my profile pictures and posts. I'm seriously freaking out at this point and opened my messages. I received 56... Oops. Oh yeah, you guys gotta count my mess ups. How many we got so far? Alright, so I'm gonna say 3. 3 total. Maybe 2. I don't know. Dixa says 2. I like that number. Whatever you guys decide, I'll go with it. We were around 70 last time. That's not too shabby. I've received 50 to 60 messages that all read, "End your life." I tried to message her again, but surprise, surprise, she had blocked my messages. I was becoming really angry at this point. I clicked on her Facebook profile to block her and get rid of her for good. Before I went to block her, I scrolled down her wall. She had been sharing literally hundreds of posts and pictures of me, my friends, and some other people I had no idea who they were. I did some detective work and found her sister's Facebook profile and decided to send her a message. I took screenshots of everything she had done and sent it to her, asking why she was doing this. She freaked out when she saw her crazy stalker sister. Make sure I didn't miss Last time I got 72. Okay. We'll see if we can... That'd be interesting to find out what the normal average is, because most of these stories are relatively similar, so... But usually with paranormal, well, I guess those were subscriber stories. Sometimes they fluctuate in size and all that kind of stuff. Oh crap, where was I? I always do this. Did some detective work. She freaked out when she saw her. Okay. She freaked out when she saw what her crazy stalker sister had done. The stalker had deleted her sister on Facebook because of an argument they had had around October when this all started. So, she hadn't seen anything she had done. She promised me she would talk to her crazy stalker sister and make her stop. I received a message from her sister a few hours later that she had talked to the stalker and promised she would stop, and she apologized. I was so happy this finally would be over and thanked her. Another few months passes, and we are now in February of 2019. I hadn't received any messages since I talked to her sister, and I had honestly forgot about everything that had happened. 2 days ago, I was playing some games with my friends on my PC and talking on Discord. My phone was on the table, and I saw it light up once. I had received a notification. I wouldn't bother to check it before the game was done. A few seconds after, I get another one, and another one. I could see my phone in the corner of my eye. Notifications came swimming in. Swimming, Jesus cripes. Jen Child with the $10. Thank you, Jen. Hope you are having a lovely day. Jen's a big supporter over on Patreon, so I appreciate that. Peel the avocado. Peel the avocado. Okay. I could see my phone in the corner of my eye. Notifications came swarming in. Then I remembered the crazy stalker girl and got a really awful feeling in my stomach, praying this wasn't her again. I stopped playing and picked up my phone. Notifications still coming in. The stalker was sharing my pictures and posts yet again, and all had a caption like, "End your life and I hope you die." I instantly blocked her. A few minutes later it happened again. Someone with another username was sharing my pictures. I blocked that account instantly. She had created almost 10 accounts, and I was desperately blocking all of them as fast as I could as soon as I saw a notification. I sent her sister a message again and told her I was going to report this to the police if she wouldn't stop. She told me she would talk to her. Angry, confused, and kinda scared, I went back to the gaming session talking to my friends about it. Went to sleep a few hours later. I woke up late the next day. It was hard to sleep after thinking about all that was happening. My cousin had received some messages from my crazy stalker. She had told him that I owed her money. I kept my calm and told him about everything and said that he should just go with it. I wanted to see where this was going. She thought my cousin was my father. He is a lot older than me, and I could see why she would think that. We had a long conversation where she claimed that I had both stolen and hacked her phone and lent money from her, and that I was the reason she lost her scholarship and had to move. She said I owed her $10,000, which later became $50,000, and then again she raised the amount to $100,000 later in the conversation. All of this, of course, is some crazy lie. I'm so confused as to why she is doing this to me. I have no idea what I've done to her, and I'm going to report this to the police tomorrow. I'm really scared of what she might accuse me of next, or she is going to show up on my door someday. All this is happening 6 years after the last time I saw her. So, update. I just came back home after talking with the police. They told me I had a strong case and could press charges if I wanted to. I decided not to do it for now. I don't want to make it harder than it has to be. I will give her one last chance to stop. I will either call her today and tell her to stop or face charges. Any further contact with me or my family will cause her to see consequences. Either way, I'm pretty... oh shit. Latoya H with the $5. Thank you, Latoya. We got an 11 and 8. Which is it, guys? How many mess-ups do I have? Gotta find this out. That's 8 or 9. 5. Yeah, let's go I don't know. Okay, where was it? They will call her today. Okay. They will call her today and tell her to stop or face charges. Any further contact with me or my family will cause her to see consequences. Either way, I'm pretty much guaranteed to get her a restraining order if she doesn't comply. I would also like to add that I do not think she's a violent person. She's never threatened my life directly, nor have I ever feared for my life. This plays a huge part of why I didn't press charges. I firmly believe that something terrible has happened to her within the last year, and that she is really sick and in need of help. Her family knows about the situation, and it's up to them or the authorities to make sure she gets the help if she needs it. What bothered me the most about this whole situation was the false accusations, not the sharing of pictures and messages itself. I'm happy with my decision, and I hope I made the right call. Spooky, we're blocking people? Yeah, those ones are interesting. Like, I kind of, normally most stories, like, most people, I guess, usually something kind of comes to, usually these stories take place over a long haul, so there might be more to the story than that we later hear, including a restraining order and including, something physical. I hope, hopefully none of that happens, obviously. But yeah. Who knows? That was a highly voted one, but I think just the reality of it, I mean, that was definitely something that would creep me out if I was just getting messages like that, just like sort of borderline psychotic. Mega Matt, guys, welcome to the stream. Holy cow, we're at like 230 views right now. That's great. My favorite story. Oh man, there's a lot of the stories kind of blend together. But I think you guys should tell me about your favorite stories, because I have seen so many now that I'm not even sure. Why am I counting mistakes? I don't know. It's just funny. Because it's always like a good feeling when I can get through like a story like unmistaked. Missy Joy, welcome back. Sam Chappelle, great name. Reminds me of Dave Chappelle with the 10. Hey dude, no idea if this has already been requested, but would love to hear you narrate 8 Feet Tall again. Oh yeah, 8 Feet Tall. That was way back on some of the Japanese stories. That was a creepy story, too. I feel like Asian countries have some of like the scariest folklore around. Just like these like really, really wacky out there kind of demonic creatures. Mellow Ferg says, the mother was at work and the kids come downstairs and there's a random man sleeping on their couch and they had to sneak out the back or something. That's funny. I don't remember that one. Joel, am I Italian? I don't know. I don't think so. I'm not from Italy. Italian. I like Italian food, if that helps narrow things down a bit. So this one's, we got another obsessed girl. Perfect. Obsessed girl stories. We've got the title already down. Do. Alright, so obsessed girl believes we were in the womb together. Okay. We're off to a good start. This is from my sophomore year of high school. Take in mind that some of the reasons why the whole scenario lasted so long was because I was extremely shy and was having problems with extreme anxiety. This whole experience has helped me learn to speak up for myself. It was the beginning of the school year and I had a gym class as my first period. I went to class normally for a few days, but I had noticed that some girl had been staring at me off and on. I didn't think it was anything to worry about. A big mistake on my part. One day before class started, we were all hanging out in one corner of the gym listening to our teacher's story of how he tripped and fell in a huge puddle of mud. I was sitting on a pile of yoga mats staring off into space, but still paying attention. I then heard a girl's voice say, "Teacher, I have a story to tell too. I finally have found my best friend that I haven't seen in years. She doesn't even recognize me." I was snapped out of my staring spell and looked towards the voice to find that she was pointing directly at me. I foolishly said, "Oh, no, I remember you," and read off the name that was written across her gym shirt, Ellie, because I didn't want to seem like a jerk for not remembering her. Ellie instantly brightened up that I remembered her, and then proceeded to lift herself up off the yoga mats and sit uncomfortably close to me, enough that our entire bodies were squished together. I didn't say anything because I didn't feel it was necessary. Green Turtles with the 5 says, "Thanks for all the streams lately, love your channel." Absolutely, thank you, Tiny Green Turtles. Thank you for the 5. Stalker stories are good. It does make you wonder sometimes, like, what is it that goes through people's minds that they stalk somebody? Because sometimes people can appear absolutely conventionally normal, and I don't know, just become obsessed with another human being. I guess in some ways it sort of makes sense, like when you think about life and just how like sort of mysterious it is as like the meaning of something. Like we all in some fashions have like things we're passionate about, things we are things we sort of I guess with for lack of a better words, we sort of worship, because it's almost like we have that inane desire to worship something or put all of our time and energy into something, even if not all, maybe we have no interest. Sometimes you just really don't have any interest, but there are certain things that you are interested in to the point of putting a lot of your time into it. So it makes sense that there's sort of outliers within the community, I suppose, of humanity and like the human experience and stuff that just sees another human being and says, "Screw it, I'm gonna put all my time and energy into that other human being," which makes sense for why it's a little creepy. But yeah, I don't know. And sometimes people might find themselves in stalkerish, in positions where they're defined as a stalker, when in reality, someone maybe over reacts. I suppose that certainly could be the case as well. Like, not everyone is as socially accustomed to people's expectations of another human being, and maybe they come off as odd, to say the least. Amber says, "I stare at people. Does that make me a stalker?" I guess it depends on their definition, but as long as you don't get arrested, you think you're doing okay. But yeah, I like to look at people. People are interesting. You just kind of like... Obviously, people have certain, certain people are attractive and stuff, and that draws your eyes to them or whatever. But, I don't know, like, our minds, want to be fixated on something or entertained in some fashion, even when we're out in public. And so you just kind of like stare and watch people be people. We're not too different, you and I. Yeah, I like to look at people. What are you supposed to do? Just like, as you walk by someone, just close your eyes. I'm not looking at you. I'm completely normal. Everything is fine. I promise I'm not hurting anyone here with my eyes closed walking through traffic. Okay. Emma Landers with the 4. Thank you, Emma. I didn't say anything because I didn't feel it was necessary to cause a huge problem out of this, because there was obviously something up with her mentally, and I didn't want to be rude about it. The class went on, and Ellie and I were not in the same group, so I didn't have any problem with her that day. The next few days, we didn't have any assigned class groups, so Ellie was trailing behind me like a dog. She was starting to get extremely protective and forceful with me. I don't get cold very easily, but she insisted that I wear her jacket and would not leave me alone until I finally wore it. She also started to say things about hurting my actual friends, which was the final straw for me. Do whatever you want to me, but as soon as you bring my friends into it, I'm going to do something about it. I was finally going to bring it up to our principal. Putting that whole thing behind, our class today had the option of either volleyball or walking around the perimeter of the room. I decided to just walk around the room and had been doing that for around 15 minutes, until I sat on the ground by the bleachers to tie my shoes. Ellie dropped down to the ground too and watched me with extreme interest. All of a sudden, she grabbed my wrist and held our forearms together. We have the same veins. You want to know why? Because we were in the womb together. I used to hug you when you were scared in the womb, she said. This line freaked me out a lot at the time, because 1, our veins looked nothing alike. She had one visible vein, while mine branch out into multiple, and 2, we look nothing alike, and she was a year older than me. I decided to run off to the bathroom because I became... Yeah, this one's creepy. We have the same veins. I do a woman's voice all too well. Thanks. I practice in front of the mirror. I talk myself to sleep in a woman's voice. I decided to run off to the bathroom before I really freaked out, and stayed in there for almost the rest of the class. I returned later for the end of class roll call and left to go to the locker room. Ellie got dressed quickly and was just staring at me half naked getting dressed. It made me really uncomfortable. I lied and told her that I had to leave quickly because I had to meet with my boss at Olive Garden, and hightailed it out of there into my next class. My next class teacher, who I trust deeply, had called me up to talk to her. Wait, Sam, what are you saying? Mr. Creepypasta does a funny female voice? Or does he just like... Is his female voice as good as mine? Come on. Come on. My female voice is the best. It's the best. Like, he wouldn't even know that you were talking to a dude on the phone. Hey there. It's me, girl. And I wanna, I wanna be a girl with you. Joseph Bustamante. With $10. Thank you, Joseph. I love your stories, man. You make counting inventory amazing. Love it. Keep it up. Love the spooky story, Chanting in the Woods, and Necrosleep. Too many to list. Thanks again. Yeah, there's some good, there is some good... Those are some good creepypastas. Necrosleep was one of the first ones I read, and The Chanting in the Woods was actually written by Axeman Cartoons, believe it or not. He's a really good author. He's just a creative person in general. Very, very unique. Spooky says, "Girl, are you from Bird Box?" Yeah. I'm girl, girl. You can be girl, I'll be boy. And we can hide from the alien demons or whatever the F happened in that stupid movie. Alright guys, I do CrossFit, and I know it's another cult that I'm part of besides the Buttersock cult. And tomorrow, and you know, nationwide we do these like sort of coordinated workouts that are pretty difficult. And they just released what's called 19.2, which is the second workout in the sort of CrossFit world of. So let's check out what those standards are. Alright. God, why is it so hard? You type something in, like, okay, here it is. Open 19.2 WOD. Alright. So it's going to be as many rounds as possible in 20 minutes, beginning on an 8-minute clock. Complete as many reps as possible of 25 toes to bars, 50 double unders, 15 squat cleans at 135, 25 toes to bars, 50 double unders, 13 squat cleans. Do you ever look at a website and just a bunch of shit pops up? I fucking hate that. 13 squat cleans at 185. If completed before 8 minutes, add 4 minutes to the clock and proceed to 25 toes to bars, 50 double unders, 11 squat cleans at 225. If completed before 12 minutes, add 4 minutes to the clock and proceed to 25 toes to bars, 50 double unders, 9 squat cleans at 275. If completed before 16 minutes, add 4 minutes to the clock and proceed to 25 toes to bars, 50 double unders, 7 squat cleans at 315. Holy shite. It's insane. Time cap 20 minutes. Well, that difficulty ramped up pretty freaking quick. Yeah. That's not gonna go well. But, yeah, sorry. I just got a message from somebody saying, that was going on, so. Yeah. That's a big bag of nope. Yeah, I would agree. That should be a big bag of nope for me, dog. There's a big bag of nope for me, dog. Alright, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Alright, the new class went fine, but over the course... Okay. I stayed home the next day. I should have highlighted this shit. The next class teacher, who I trust dearly, had... Okay, yeah, that's where we stopped. Highlighting that. My next class teacher, who I trust dearly, had called me up to talk to her privately in her class, and she said that Ellie has been talking about me non-stop in the class, and that she has... Oh. My next class teacher, who I trust dearly, had called me up to talk to her privately in her class, and she said that Ellie has been talking about me non-stop in the class that she has her in. She recommended me to go to the police as soon as possible, and she'll talk to the principal. It scared the life out of me. What in the absolute God did my teacher know about Ellie that she would tell me to go to the police of all people? I called my mom and skipped the rest of the day. I stayed home the next day and went to the police station with my mom. They brought us into a room and I started off with just telling them the basic story of what was going on. I didn't even say her name. The guy that was talking to us said that... Shit. The guy that was talking to us said, "Ellie Smith?" I was dumbfounded. How did he know exactly who I was talking about? He went on talking about how she's in the police station a lot, but couldn't go into specifics because she was a minor. This didn't help with my anxiety. What did she do to be in the police station multiple times? The police couldn't really do anything, so the only thing I could do was switch my class. I was angry because I had made a few good friends in that gym class and I had to restart with a whole new class, but at least I was away from Ellie. The new class went fine, but over the course of the year, I would always run into Ellie in the halls. My friend even saw her turn around and look at me with one of the most terrifying faces she had ever seen in real life. She would always yell things along the lines of, "I'm gonna get you." She would always yell things along the lines of, "I'm going to get you," which was extremely unnerving for me. I didn't want to hear her... Oh, shit. I didn't want her near me or my friends, so I began stepping up and telling the vice principal himself whenever one of these instances occurred. This kept happening over the course of my sophomore year. I was hoping that she would forget about me because I had figured out that we had never actually met before that gym class. I never hung out with anyone other than my friend Paige in the time Ellie said we were best friends, and I even checked all my yearbooks. Not one thing even mentioned Ellie Smith. The morning of the first day of junior year, I ran into her because I even started my first... Okay. Sorry, sometimes I get so messed up with the grammar, I'm just like, where am I right now? "15. I'm dying to stay, but I must go to sleep. It's 1:35 a.m. here, and I need to work in 5 hours. Love you, Let's Read. Looking forward to the next one." See you, Emma. Thanks for hanging out, and I hope you have a good day tomorrow at work. The morning of the first day of junior year, I ran into her before I even started my first class. I tried not to make eye contact. Later that day, the principal called me in and told me that Ellie said I flipped her off, which I didn't. I didn't even look at her. This whole game with threats and random incoherent screeches continued on through my junior year as well, and I feel like part of the whole high school experience was taken from me because I spent a lot of the time trying to figure out how to avoid her. She graduated and thankfully was gone during my senior year. This whole experience has honestly both traumatized me and helped me grow as a person. I had learned how to assert myself more than I ever had done before, but I still swear I see her out of the... I squeaked. I felt the squeak. Miranda Spinney with the 2 says, "What program do people use to draw during your narrations?" I don't know. What does Eichelin... Maybe someone who watches it could tell her. Just at Miranda. Thank you, Miranda, for the 2. But I'm not too sure. Maybe Eichelin is here. She's from all the way out in, like, Transylvania. But I think a lot of people... Looks like Photoshop. Maybe. Yes, excuse me. Broken Jade 21 with the $5 says, "Love your channel, enjoy the streams. The stories have inspired me to share my paranormal story, and maybe even had it read on here. Keep up the good work." Yeah, Jade, you should totally submit your stories to the subreddit, Let's Read Official. Link is down below, and it's easy to create a Reddit account because I don't even think you need to verify your email address. You literally can. That's why people make so many anonymous accounts and stuff, and that's why certain subreddits have like limitations on how much karma you need to have before you post, so that people don't like brigade places with false information, like companies and stuff, or political nonsense. But yeah, easy peasy. Go there, make an account, submit that spooky story, and you might even heard here on the channel called Let's Read. Sabrina's getting a sweatshirt tomorrow. Nice, thank you, Sabrina. Yeah, a lot of people have been sending me pictures of their on Instagram of their merch that they've purchased, and I really appreciate that. The going on Spreadshirt and snagging it there, and I do believe they ship to quite a few countries. If that's like an issue, that was one of the questions brought up. They do ship to Canada. Yeah, so if you guys do buy a shirt and you want to promote your Instagram kind of like through my Instagram, though I don't have like, I think I have like 5,000 followers, which isn't like a huge amount in the world of Instagram. I would be more than happy to like say like Shout out to so-and-so for repping the merch, dog. And all that good stuff. This whole experience has honestly both traumatized me and helped me grow as a person. I learned how to assert myself more than I ever had done before, but I still swear I see her out of the corner of my eye. It's caused some paranoia that still hasn't gone. I'm literally like right there. So Ellie, let's not meet again. I had forgotten to put that at one point she had my phone number that I gave her when I didn't think anything was wrong. Apparently wrote down the wrong number, thank God. She tried to call me like 35 times. She got very angry and kept repeating, I'm going to tackle you if you ever do that again. When I saw her in class the next day. Yikes. We'll avoid that part. It's caused some paranoia. Does anyone else have paranoia? It's caused some paranoia that still hasn't gone completely away. Alright. Story 8, complete. Venikins with the 2 says, Pradeep Kitty update. Yes, I talk about your cat too much. No, that's okay. I love my cat. He was in the room before I started the stream, and now he is probably out in the living room somewhere. Doing his ting. Doing his ting, which usually involves sleeping on the couch, taking poops, peeing. Sometimes he eats water. Oh no, Gling, your cat got injured. What the heck happened to your cat? What's going on with Mr. Cat? Marie Page has 6 cats. That is a load of cats. There's a lot of cats. I hope. Are they all nice? Are all cats just innately nice? Mellowferg, trademark, with the $6. Big fan of yours since like 2016. Thanks for all the stories. Here's a random $6. No, thank you. Nice, 2016, man. It is crazy how fast time has gone. I started this channel back in when did we start? August 2014. So this summer will be a 5-year anniversary. That's exciting. Kind of crazy. Why do you have a cat? And how do you read and you draw great? Don't sue me or I will eat your cat like they do in China. I don't do the drawings, but if anybody is an artist and they have programs to record their drawings and stuff and would like to showcase their talent, I always, have like an overlay telling people where to go to find that artist or commissions or whatever and links to their social media. So if you guys have something, be sure to hit me up on join our Discord down below and all that good stuff. Mr. X Dreams, the man himself, is here with the big 5 donuts. Says, love the super chat animation. Yeah, I don't even... What the heck is it? I forget what it is. Wait, it should pop up here. Let's see. It's like a late pop-up. Oh, yeah, the dancing skeleton. Yeah, isn't that sick? I love that. I try to find like everything just spooky, which is fun. But thank you, Mr. X Dreams. Guys, if you haven't listened to Mr. X Dreams yet, he is the Lord of Lords when it comes to narration. So, and he does awesome live streams where he does art and stuff like that. And maybe one day he'd want to share some of his art in the background of some of my videos here. But yeah, I love me and Mr. X Dreams just recently worked on 5 2-sentence horror stories with Axeman, Heidi, and Dr. Creepin Von Pasta, or I guess Dr. Creepin. And that. So if you guys haven't seen that animation, that's pretty amazing. A-Dubs has arrived, the mod of the hour. We're gonna have a mod fight between Spooky and A-Dubs. Just kidding. It's a mod hand-holding session. Like father, like son. During university, I had a slew of creepy encounters. This has stuck with me the most. It started during my first class. One day, a group of us were walking together along campus, and slowly members began branching off. It ended up as just myself and the guy who I was inclined to befriend. Only knew his name, but I didn't want to be rude and not keep walking along with him. He asked me where I am going, and to tell him... Oh shit. Hallie Long with the 2x says, love listening while I work. Yeah, I'm glad I can provide people something to kind of like zone out to. Hey, see you, Mr. Extremes. Thanks for stopping by, my friend. It's good to see you. But yeah, just providing something for people to do while they work and kind of like zone out and stuff like that. Oh, Spooky says she's getting her spine fixed. Oh yeah, she's gonna be doing some yoga and chiropractics here soon, so show some love to Spooky there. And guys, make sure you take care of your back. It's very important. It ended up as just myself and the guy who I was not inclined to befriend. Only knew his name, but I didn't want to be rude and not keep walking along with him. He asked me where I was going, and I tell him I normally take a nap between classes and was going into my dorms. He asks if he can see my suite. Normally, this would be a no-brainer red flag, but my particular building was renowned for being fancy and others frequently asked to see inside. I say sure, why not? Not wanting... Oh, shit. I say sure, not wanting to be mean and thinking this guy would take a quick look around and give the typical jealous comments and then leave. We go inside and I show him the basics, doing so in a way that we ended back up at the entrance of the suite. This whole time he's not saying much, and I'm only announcing things dryly, so I was confident when I said a quick, "It's pretty nice. See you around." He said that? What the hell? So I was confident when I said a quick, "It's pretty nice. See you around." Oh, okay. Spooky, you should totally get a stand-up desk. I know it sounds like daunting initially, but it's pretty amazing, like once you get used to being on your feet and stuff, because it just helps keep your posture like perfect, essentially, I guess, because you're standing, and then you can kind of like, a lot of people suggest sort of keeping your feet wide, which is like what I do for a lot of my narrations, just kind of get like this good positioning, and for me, like when it, like lifting weights and stuff is really annoying, because whenever I go to sit down, my hips get tight, my hamstrings get tight, my back gets tight, you know, and all that's kind of like pulling on your spine and just ganking it in all different ways. So you know how it go. You know how it do. How it be. It be like that sometime. Baby steps, I'm a huncher. Or what you could do is you could stand up, but then have a laptop sitting on the ground, so you like mega hunch to just do like a full-on toe touch to like type your keypad. I should probably drink water. I haven't done that in a while. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, get ready for some spooky readings from Spooky Let's Read. That's a noise. That is a noise. That's, guys, I don't know if you realize this, but this stream doubles as an ASMR experience that some of you may not even realize that you've signed up for, but you're getting it. You're getting those tingles coming at you hard. If you subscribe to T-Series Let's Read, then I will give you water Oh, she deleted. That's okay. I will never subscribe to T-Series. Okay, you understand? This is that's not even an option for me. All right. That's like asking a very religious individual to eat ham on Ramadan. All right. Sacrilege. Yeah, PewDiePie all the way. I actually want to make sure that I've been recording, because there's a fear that I have not been pressing the record.
Say sure. This guy with his comments.
Okay.
Inside, and I show him this is so in a way. So the sweet. This whole time he's
Not saying much, and I'm only announcing things dryly, so I was confident when I said it quick.
Nice. Round.
Alright. Okay. Because I could totally see myself, like, reading the stories, but then totally forgetting to press record, and then that would be megala embarrassing. Lame Girl Club asks, how is recording and doing live work? Yeah, so I've got a lapel mic hooked up to my headset that's connected as sort of like the input device for streaming, and then I have like my actual mic set up in front of me through its various magical ways, and that is what is recording the files, I guess you could say. It has like an SD card within it. It's a H4n, and those files get sucked into it through sucking power. Dude, technology is literally magic to me. I don't even care. It's just magic. Some magician, like warlock, literally invented a microphone. Necromancy. Hey! $10, been sick in bed all week, so glad for the stream. From Miyazaki. Thank you, Miyazaki. Thank you. Logan Bourgeoisie with the $5 says, love your channel, dude. I've spent countless hours listening. Keep up the good work. That is cool. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's weird. Sometimes I go to my analytics, and I look at that and like see like in a day how much people have been listening or whatever. It literally amounts to like in one single day the amount of like time you guys spend on my YouTube channel as a whole, as like everybody as a whole, is close to like 4 to 5 years of minutes watched in a single day. And that to me is like literal insanity. It's crazy. It's crazy. Kelly Lee with the 5 says, I usually listen to your videos in my headphones as I go to sleep, and I follow you on Twitter. You're a great storyteller. I love the channel. Thank you, Kelly. Yeah, the headphones is where it's at for the spooky stories, because you can really pick up all the nuance. Okay, so how do I? Where am I? Who am I? Which one am I? Am I the reader? This whole time he's not saying much and only announcing things dryly. So I was confident when I said it quick. It's pretty nice. See you around. Then he was going to take his leave. I turned around and went to my room. I did not show him any rooms or say where anyone stayed. A few minutes later, as I'm sitting my stuff down, I turn around and he's there in the doorway. He's silent. I don't say anything because I do not want to invite him in. I want him to go. I just look at him, then start picking up stuff and moving it around, trying to look busy. He slowly walks a couple of steps into the room and asks, have you done the coursework yet? I tell him no. By this time, I assume he is trying to hang out and tell him again that I'm planning on napping. He doesn't even skip a beat and says, well, that's okay. I can watch you sleep and help you with it after. I smile. No tone. Then silence again. I immediately tell him he needs to leave and follow him until he's actually shite. Weird sense of humor's got. Hey, we like weird sense of humors here. We want the weirdest sense of humor. Guys, let out your weird. Your inner weird. Just let it flow. What are my thoughts on Justin Y? I love Justin Y. He's on every. If I see him comment, I'm gonna heart him. I'm gonna give him a heart, just because he is a baller, and he deserves it. And it's kind of weird because like he has a lot of subs, and I honestly am wondering to myself if getting subscribers, it literally is strongly correlated to commenting on things, because like he's built up, I think, over 100,000 subscribers. I could be wrong, I could be lying there, just from commenting on things. Now granted, he doesn't like, granted he doesn't like make any videos or anything like that, but imagine if that's all you did was comment on stuff, and then all of a sudden one day you just started making videos to get your to start boosting your channel. Like, that would be. Is that the strat? Is that the secret to YouTube? Someone call video creators and let them know. Alright, where the freakity freak? I immediately tell him he needs to leave and follow him until he actually went out the locking doors, and I know he can't follow me back in. I told a lot of our friends about this, and they were heavily creeped out and made a point not to leave us alone again. Ever. We finished the year out, and I haven't thought about this guy in a long time. I did not know anything about him at all, still only knew his name. Flash forward a year and some change to the next summer when I'm taking a bus ride home from a different part of campus, so it is not my normal route. God damn it. A-dubs, you missed everything, dude. This one guy just got stabbed in the freaking face. But he's okay. He was actually the, creeper. Night, Lenny. Flash forward a year and some change to the next summer when I'm taking a bus ride home from a different part of campus, so it is not my normal route. We get to one of the points where the bus stops and waits until a certain time before it can leave again, and everyone else that had been on the bus gets off at this stop. At this point, the driver starts talking to me, asking me a lot of questions. I did not think anything weird at first and answer what I thought were idle chat questions. Which apartment are you in, and what classes are you taking? Then, as more and more questions just kept coming, I started to feel uneasy with his mannerisms and became extremely vague in my answers. I still don't know if he always intended to tell me this, but he then stopped peppering me with questions and began spilling a story of how his son was in my math class the previous year, and he knew all about me and started giving me a lot of shit. Crap. The Buttersocks. Does anyone have the official Buttersocks lore that we can explain to the chat? Hear that Bostonian accent. I'm gonna read this whole thing. It's at this point that I realized his son is the guy who wanted to watch me sleep. Okay? It's kind of freaking weird, but I'm into that kind of stuff. That's probably... anybody from Boston probably hates me right now. I still don't know if he always intended to tell me this, but he then stopped peppering me with questions and began spilling a story of how his son was in my math class the previous year, and he knew all about me and started giving me a lot of family details. It's at this point that I realize his son is the guy who wanted to watch me sleep. All the details fit, but I had to know for sure, so I asked if his son is named... Fuck. I asked if his son was named Name. Is your name Name? Hi, is your name? Okay. Quick text back at it. Okay. Damn it, where was I? It's at this point that I realize that... Okay. It's at this point that I realize his son is the guy who wanted to watch me sleep. All the details fit, but I had to know for sure, so I asked him if his son was named what his name was. He smiles and says yes. He then mentioned how he would like to start riding bikes with me, and would I ride bikes? Oh, god damn it. Whenever people put quotes around something, but then, like, it's not a big deal. But when people put quotes around something and then it says, would I ride bikes with him and his son? That's not a quote. It's just, I guess, like, a descriptive quote. It's, like, really weird. It always throws me off, because I think it's going to be, like, dialogue, so I get, like, I back away from my, like... I back away from the mic to do my dialogue, but then I realize that it's still, like, just, expositional in some sense, I guess. I don't know. He then mentioned how he would like to start riding bikes with me and would like to ride bikes with... God, I suck at reading. He then mentioned that he would like to start riding bikes with me and would I ride bikes with him and his son. I was gathering my stuff by this point and had decided to get off the bus. There are 2 doors, one at the front and one halfway, which was closest to me. The doors stay open while the bus is at these stops so people can hop off and on, and the driver normally gets off and takes a break. As I'm getting my stuff and getting up, the halfway door shuts. I look again at the driver, an older man but much larger than my petite frame and build. He is now standing facing me, but the front door is still open. He asks again, "You ride bikes with us?" I want off the bus and think the only way is to pacify him. I say yes, and make my way to the front door, not knowing how to get around him. He looks pleased, but asks where I'm going. I try and tell him I've decided to walk home, but he still blocks my way and tries to talk me out of it. I'm firm in that I want to walk from here, but he will not move. I'm standing in front of him wishing to move, but my body is frozen in place. Slowly, he decides, "Give me your number, and I'll let you go." I really don't want to do this, but I also want off this bus immediately. My first thought is to give a fake, but I'm also glad I didn't, as he immediately dials the number. It was a test. Seeing my phone ring and watching me save his contact. Shite. Daniel Holguin with a 30. Thank you, Daniel. That's freaking huge. That is a big dono. Jake Solly says, let's do $100 donations. Hey, I'm not arguing with you, Jake, if that's a route in life that you would like to go down. Do I know PJW? Is that Mr. Paul Joseph Watson? Imagine my shock. Imagine my shock. You've seen someone donate $50K? Where was this at? That's a lie. I don't believe. Dr. Shock. 50K would be, Oh, wait. You lost the channel. Mr. Beast. Wait, someone donated 50K to Mr. Beast? Insane. Okay. Sorry, I thought I saw last night Rob Dyke got $400 donations from some woman. Hey man, Rob Dyke is a sexy man. He deserves every penny. That's cool. I'm glad Rob Dyke's doing live streams and stuff like that. I wasn't sure if he was checking or making new videos and what he was up to. He's a really nice guy. Okay. Wait. Okay. It was a test. Seeing my phone ring and watching me save his contact, he moves enough that I slide by and make it off the bus. After making it home, I go to block his number and already have multiple missed calls and a voicemail of just him breathing. The situation was reported and I did not see him on a route for a long time, but around a year later I was getting on another bus and noticed he was back. I've never covered my face and backed off a public transit faster. Shit. I guess that's where I should have ended, but there's always like this additional text with like the too long didn't read or the let's never meet again, father or son. Morella Vega, that's a cool name. $10, thank you for the scares. Absolutely. Thank you for the 10. Samantha says Butter Socks merch. There actually is Butter Socks merch on the Spreadshirt website. A good friend of mine from Instagram did some Buttersock art to celebrate the cult, and it's actually pretty amazing. So Buttersocks is before every stream. I like to put, and this, you know, maybe certain narrators, they do different things, you know, they try different stuff. For me, personally, what works for me is I like to take butter, melted or room temp, and put it in a pair of socks. Now, some would say, man, you've already gone too far with this, but I like to take it a step further and put those socks on. You can hear my accent. Put the socks on, and thus has begun the initiation of the Buttersock cult. And if you consider yourself a true Let's Readian, or would like to initiate yourself into that cult, I would suggest prior to every stream doing exactly what I've done. But also, an asterisk side note is that you don't do any of that. That would be terrible, and it would be pretty uncomfortable. But it's the only way I personally can maintain such a silky, smooth voice. It all starts from the toes. All starts from the toes, guys. Starts from the toes, moves its way up to the kneecaps. My kneecaps fill up with butter, melted, up to the hips, around the gutty works, through the gutty works, up around the teats, to the shoulders, the jaw, the jowls, and out the mouth. Samantha says, would it be weird if I plan to get a tattoo of the Let's Read space skeleton? Samantha, if you do that, I swear to the Lord above that I will put that... If you take a picture and send it to me, I will put that not only on Instagram, Twitter, I will put it in a video. I might even use it as a thumbnail, but it's an awesome picture. I really do like that picture. But just make sure that you don't let me influence you to make that forever life-lasting decision. But it does let me know your devotion to the Buttersock call. Thank you. Maybe one day. Okay. That's okay. Jake Scully with the 5. Here, buy yourself some Buttersocks with that, Joe. I do. I need to before every stream. I need to replenish. So, thank you so much, Jake. You're keeping me smooth. It's basically it's kind of like essential oils, you know. You know how essential oils are supposed to do everything that vaccines do. It's like me putting butter in a sock is essentially like getting a vaccine. Like, it just keeps me lubed and ready. Always stay lubed, guys. I don't think we realize how important moisture is in our life, and personally, I'm just a step ahead on most. Kind of avant-garde, as you say. A butter bath bomb. That would be delicious. That'd be a huge popcorn human hybrid. We're talking about popcorn human hybrids here. And what they do is they use butter bath bombs, and they throw the popcorn human hybrid in there and watch their globalist movies. Might feel sticky. Alright, I gotta finish this literal last sentence here. The situation was reported, and I did not see him en route for a long time. But around a year later, I was getting on another bus and noticed he was back. I never covered my face and backed off a public transit. Faster. Gong. That is creepy. Jesus Christ, you getting on the bus and it's like, do you want to ride bikes with my son? That sounds like something I would say to my friends. Will you ride bikes with my son? Hi, would you like to ride bikes with my son? Hi there, nice to meet you. Do you want to ride bikes with my son? Oh no. It can't be I can't believe it's not butter. It's a false... Your body will recognize it and deny it. It will reject it and it will be like a terrible, probably anaphylactic shock. Anaphylactic. Please ride bikes with me. Oh yeah, what you guys... Okay, question. When you cook your bacon in the morning, and I know you all do you pre-oil the pan to increase the expedience of the bacon cooking, or do you just let the bacon fat itself do its thing? We got yeses, nos, bacon fat only. Now I'm going to tell you something that may or may not have changed my life, but I like thick bacon. Like a thick, meaty piece of bacon. Mainly because it feels like it has more substance to it. And lately I've been used the coconut oil that I would use for my eggs. I've been using that prior for my bacon. And straight up, it is amazing. And it cooks really well. It cooks nice and fast. The bacon doesn't stick to the pan. I've ever seen UK bacon. It's 4 times the size of ours. What? 4 times the size? There's nothing... America doesn't ever get beaten size. We are the biggest. And of course we're going to have the biggest bacon. I can't believe that. We're going to have to start upping our bacon game. 40 times the size bacon. No going back. Do you want to ride bikes with my son? You're not getting off this bus until you give me your number. Honestly, that's how I met most of my girlfriends. They don't usually call me back, but just don't let them off. I don't let them by. I mean, it's really simple. The biggest amount of stupidity. Steak is good. Well, encounter with possible backpack murderer in Australia in the 80s. Here we go. These stories are ramping up. This is my mom and dad. That'd be funny, in the UK they always call their moms mums. And I always read it as mums because it's just funny. To me, at least. I'm sure it's not funny to most. But it'd be funny if dad was dud. My mum and dud. Hello, mummy and duddy. My grums. My grums and my grum pups. My grum father. My grum mother. My grum mum. I love my grum mum. I love my grum mum. PJW says it like that. Imagine my shock. This is my mum and dad's story. It was their honeymoon. They married in August 1980 in Australia, and they were driving along the Bruce Highway into a city called Rockhampton, Queensland. It was late at night, around 8 p.m.-ish, and they had been driving most of the day. There was a very long stretch of road before you come into the city that is just bush, kilometers of it. At night the bush can be very scary. They had not passed cars for some time, probably an hour or two. Out of nowhere, headlights appeared a long way behind them in their rearview mirror. That's fine, whatever. They keep driving as normal. Then the headlights start getting closer and closer. Dad is driving and says something like, "That's a bloody turkey. How fast he's driving." The car comes right up to them, with their high beams on and follows him for about 5 minutes like that. Mom and Dad have a conversation about why can't the person just overtake them. Then the car completely backs off, like slows right down almost to a complete stop, hangs back about 1 to 2 kilometers away for a good 10 to 15 minutes. Mom and Dad both think that was super weird and creepy, but whatever, they just keep driving. Then the car speeds up again, tailgating, high beams, and sort of swerving into the other lane as if to get overtake. Another big dono from my friend Blue Note 14, $30 says, I'm sorry I'm late, but I'm back. Glad I joined in when you were talking about the ever interesting topic of bacon. Absolutely. Bacon is something that will forever boggle the minds of humanity. But thank you so much for the 30. That's a big one. I appreciate it. I will use that to purchase some bacon, probably. Well, my grandson invented bacon, Lukerhead says. Bacon socks. Now that's next level. We might have to rise someone to the ranks of High Priestess if they go that far. Well, the question is, do you cook the bacon first prior to placing it in your socks? Ketosis socks. Oh, Let's Read onesies would be sick. Dude, I need honestly, if anybody wants to design some more like cool art for merch, I really need to up the merch game as far as like options go, because we need to give the people some options here. You lick your fingers. Oh my god. Alright, perfect question, Luke. Thank you. Then the car speeds up again, tailgating, high beams, and sort of swerving into the other lane as if to overtake them. This goes on for another 5-ish minutes. Mom and Dad are both really scared now. Remember, this is the days before mobiles and cell phones, and besides, there would have been no reception in that area to call for help, even if they had them. It's not over yet. The car backs off again, but as far as before. The car hangs back there for about a minute before hitting the gas and absolutely flying past Mom and Dad and finally overtaking them. There appeared to be one person in the car, but they couldn't really see what they looked like. There was also no number plate on the car to identify it. And I know Dad had told me heaps of times before. I actually can't remember what sort of car it was now. I feel like it was a sort of sedan thing, definitely white. And the car disappears up the road as if it were never there. Mum and Dad are shaken to their core, but pleased it was seemingly over. Not done yet. The road now becomes a bit more windy. Previously it was almost straight. Mum and Dad came round a corner and the car is parked in the middle of the road, facing them, high beams on, both driver and passenger doors wide open, and shit. I squeaked. I'm gonna call my mom. I just squeaked. Why couldn't you guys have given me a less squeaky voice? Mommy, I pooped my pants. If you... Okay. Lenny Squeaky. Alright, where the heck was I? Oh boy. Oh boy. Spread as if to make them stop. Alright. Mom and Dad come round a corner and the car is parked in the middle of the road, facing them, high beams on, both driver and passenger doors wide open, and the man, they could now see it was a man, standing in front of the car with his arms spread wide, spread as if to make them stop the car. Mom was screaming at Dad, "Just hit him, don't stop, just hit him." My dad, bring the bloody hero that My dad, being the bloody hero that he is, did not stop and drove around the man's car on the right-hand side of it, which would be the passenger's side as it was parked facing them. The man tried to get in front of Dad. I assumed to stop him from driving off, as he made this maneuver but couldn't quite get there in time. He was very close to the car and Dad nearly hit him. Dad absolutely floored it. He said he was doing around 130 to 140 kilometers per hour. Get away from the man. They aren't sure how long they drove like that, but... Oh, shit. They aren't sure how long they drove like that for, but they didn't slow back to the speed limit until they started to come into the city limits. They made it to their hotel and parked the car at the back of the hotel, so that you couldn't see it from the road because it was on the side of the highway and passing traffic could see the cars parked there. Mom was quite hysterical and told the reception lady what had happened. They called the police and reported it, but they never found the car or the driver. Fast forward many years later, Mom was watching the news and oh shoot, we have to figure out how to pronounce this guy's name. Ivan Milet, is it Milat? Ivan Malay? Sounds... Backpack murderer. Oh, backpack murderer. Anybody know? Milady? Is it Milady? Milat. Okay. Milat. We got Ivan Majuajabadubaju. Milor. Okay. Millet. Okay, like mullet. Is it millet? Oi. Have you seen the second Oh, sorry, you guys are talking. Are you still working as a nurse? I am not. Have Malay like fillet. Okay, now we got Malay like fillet. Where's the Australians? Where's my Australian people? I need to know. Alright, let me just see if old... What's her name? You guys ever go to Emma Sang or whatever? Ivan Milat Pronounce. Alright, briefly. We're just gonna watch this documentary here until I get to the pronunciation of his name. Malay, like Malay.
A young traveler's
A young traveler.
Miles from home.
Miles
no one knows
from
where
home.
they are.
Monet?
The victims were from all over the world.
There are sounds in your ears.
People just vanishing off the face of the earth.
Big city and the surf, they head north towards Cairns or south to Melbourne.
Melbourne.
We could...
Alright, this is too long. Do they not have the pronunciation? Okay. Ivan Malay Pronounce. Pronounce.com. Oh, I think I was spelling it wrong. Okay, how to pronounce serial killer. It's not even here. Why do you ever go to those websites where it's called pronouncewiki.com and they literally says that it's pronounced there, but then they just don't have it? That is silly to me. And it's the top 2 things on Google. Like, why would Google... I know Google was behind this. If anybody... Okay, good night, matey. I gotta do my math homework. See you later. Before I go, one more question for you. Heard of the Momo Challenge? It's Milat. Is it Milat? Milat. Alright, I don't really think anyone will care, but I know in the comment sections, like, someone's gonna be like, it's not Milat, it's Malay. You absolute imbecile. Milat. Alright, we're going with Milat. You guys can back me up in the comments section. We're gonna have to take that person on. I know they exist. I know they're out there. Gotta get ready in the war room. Fast forward many years later. Mom was watching the news and Ivan Milat had just been arrested. Mom screamed and called Dad into the lounge room. They both agreed it was the man they saw. They were absolutely adamant. I can't even find evidence to suggest Ivan Milat was active in Queens. Jesus, this mic was banging on that mic. Sorry. Dude, why won't you stay where I want you to stay? I can't find evidence to suggest Ivan Milat was active in Queensland. I can't find evidence to suggest Ivan Milat was active in Queensland during that time, but I certainly won't call Mum and Dad liars because of what they saw. I imagine it was another creepy hillbilly who looked very similar to Mr. Backpack Murderer. I imagine it was another creepy hillbilly who looked very similar to the Backpack Murderer. Okay. Mission complete. Only took 30 million hours to figure out how to pronounce Malay. Sorry, guys. Mick Taylor. Onions do have layers, and so do our personalities. We make people cry, onions make people cry. We go great in stir fry, onions go great in stir fry. I guess I should say about the onions first before I just immediately assume people will have a human being in their stir fry. Change my name to Let's Try to Read. I'm trying my best, Allie. Please. Please love me. Your iPad suddenly has bacon in the emoji recently used section. I've never used the bacon emoji. Is my iPad listening to me, listening to the stream? That sounds like a true spooky story right there. Alright, we are at 38 or 39 mistakes. And on to story 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're almost at the halfway mark here. Smoke break. Vape break, bro. Ooh. Do you think there's government-sanctioned vape breaks for vapors? This next story, if you choose to accept it, is called Creepy Night Caller. And I assume it's about someone who calls at night who's creepy. Jake, am I doing request? I am not. So right now, Jake, I'm actually recording. And what I've been doing for the past week here is streaming while I do my recordings for the next day's video. So it's kind of like doing two things at once. But I hope you enjoy these creepy stories just as much as you would the requesting type streams. Yes, my name is Joel. A few years ago, I was watching a movie at my mom's place. At the time, she was staying on site at an animal rescue. The rescue was a house on a couple of acres that had been converted into a rescue. The house itself more or less functioned as a normal home, with the exception of a few rooms that had been converted into... Okay. Bosses just let smokers have extra breaks. Don't speak to me with that buttery mouth with all the butter dripping out of your buttery... The rescue was a house on a couple of acres that had been converted into a rescue. The house itself more or less functioned as a normal home, with the exception of a few rooms that had been converted into kitten nurseries or to keep hutches in. But the backyard crisscrossed with pens for the rescue animals. There were surrounding properties, but It was kilometers away from the nearest station and very difficult to reach without a car. It was about 9 p.m., post-dinner, and all manner of creatures were sleeping soundly in their beds, most notably two Dingo X. These are Dingo X's. My brother had a dingo one time. It was pretty sweet, growing up. Most notably two Dingo Heeler crossbreeds. These two dogs belonged to the owner and had the run of the property, sleeping on kennels on the veranda. They were little darlings once you got to know them, but quite intimidating when you first met, growls and all. Opening onto the same veranda was a laundry that functioned as a second kitchen. As this laundry opened from the backyard, the rescue staff kept the food, dishes, and utensils for the animals' meals in the laundry, rather than tracking muck through the house on their way to the kitchen. We were watching the movie on my laptop, about 15 to 20 minutes into You're Next, when someone knocked at the front door. My mom immediately told me not to answer it, but when I asked why, she had no explanation. My mom has pretty great intuition, but since the dogs weren't going off, I answered anyways. I swung open the wood-paneled door, but left the fly screen locked as a concession to her. A soft male voice came out to... Wait. Your baby ate a dingo, dude? That's insane. It's not looking so good for you, I know. Shit, I didn't even realize. I've been quit a year. I don't count the single one I had before my mom sued. Yeah, cigarettes are a good thing to get away from, and people go into the vapes, but, I mean, we might find out about the long-term negative effects of vaping down the line. Popcorn loan. And with some popcorn, you're going to need some butter. Butter socks. A soft male voice came out of the dark. The porch light apparently needed replacing. Could make out his height, 5'9", body shape, thin as heck, a beard and not much else. He asked for someone whose name I'd never heard. When I told him there was no one here by that name, he said he was waiting for a taxi. But then he said he needed a taxi and asked to come inside to call one. His speech was meandering. By this time, my mum had joined me by the door, pointing at the window. The door was one of those single panels with glass windows from door to ceiling beside it. As we had the lights on inside and it was pitch black night outside, we couldn't see the caller, but he had had all the time in the world to see us. Worried, she gave the caller directions to a payphone down the street. The caller insisted he needed to come inside to call a taxi. I insisted he use the payphone instead. He became quite angry and demanded we let him in. Afraid about being the only ones home that evening, my mum finally snapped and told him she'd call the police if he didn't go away, already dialing 000 onto her mobile. Eventually he stopped arguing and the prolonged silence suggested he was gone. Not wanting to return to the couch, which was in full view of the door's glass windows, as well as from the veranda, the back wall was floor-to-ceiling glass panels, we occupied our time in the kitchen, waiting. We heard another knock on the door. Nervous, we peered through the glass until we could make out blue and red flashing lights. We opened the door to two officers and started relaying the story. Suddenly the officer closest to the door asked, "Is this yours?" We peered around the door frame. A knife lay on the windowsill. A knife my mother immediately recognized as being used for the rescue animals' meal prep. The officers said the description reminded them of a local homeless man who was known for drinking far too much and sleeping it off in people's sheds. As such, they were quick to dismiss it as a serious threat, but afterwards my mother and I kept making creepy realizations. That knife came from the laundry in the backyard. How did the stranger get it without setting off the dogs? Without setting off any of the rescue animals? How long had he How long had he been hanging around the backyard, getting to know the animals? Had he been watching us, too? What exactly did he plan to do with that knife if we had opened the door? Dark Static with the 2 says, your videos get me through my morning LA commute. Oh my goodness, the LA commute. I can't even imagine. I feel like, from what I've heard, like even just trying to go 5 minutes down the road can take a half hour. I'm really sorry about that. And Scoot Games with the $5 Canadian maple leaves. Hey Joel, big fan. I need to know, do you use the same pair of socks to put the butter in, or is it whatever pair you are wearing at the same time? So yeah, it's the same pair of socks, unwashed. Now you might ask yourself, there's probably a lot of mold growing in those socks. Is this correct, Joel? Yes. You would be correct in that assumption. But the cool part is that like as butter begins to age, similar to a fine cheese, it has even stronger effects on the overall lubrication of my vocal cords, and really at this point it's kind of a necessity in my creative process, so to speak. So yes, same socks, and I would suggest the same for you all. Kit Kat, what did you just walk into? Welcome to Heck. Alright, that was a good story actually. So after listening to many creepy stories on YouTube, I've decided to make a Reddit account and submit my own that I still haven't managed to get over. This is quite a long one, so just bear with me. Alright. I've encountered a person that I'll call Window Man that has really messed me up. This happened in the summer of 2018, so about 8 months ago. Some background story to help better understand the situation I was in and the layout of the apartment. My mom and I moved into this one-room apartment with one of my mom's colleagues, all females, for a short period of time, about 3 months to be able to save up some money for another apartment that we currently live in. So the apartment had a small bathroom and shower, a kitchen merged with the living room, a small room separated by a sliding door, and a windowed balcony. We lived on the first floor, and even I, being the short 5'4" girl, managed to climb up into the window when I forgot my keys at home. Since the colleague needed some privacy, she chose to live in the small room. My mom would sleep on the couch in the living room, and I'd sleep on the balcony on a mattress. Now, when I would lay on my mattress, from my point of view, I'd see the living room and the couch on my right and the windows on my left, though there were some behind me that I wasn't really able to see. Now, the actual story, we moved in, and everything was going great the first month or so. I felt quite safe, even though I was very suspicious from the very start of the windows since we lived on the first floor. And I should mention that I've never experienced anything paranormal, nor have I had sleep paralysis before. So one night I wake up, or at least I think so. I can't move. I can only blink my eyes and move my head. I look over to the windows and see what looks like a third of a man's head and a hand peeking through the window. I tried to scream and get up, but I couldn't move or do anything. I was so terrified. I saw the man slowly closing the window as if he was trying to not make any sound and lower his head, as if he were leaving. I was freaking out, but still couldn't move. I saw my mom on my right, sleeping on the couch, and on my left my hand was hanging off the mattress, and my cat was headbutting it. He was trying to wake me up. I tried to scream again a few times, but it doesn't work. I'm hysterical at this point, and I feared shit. I'm hysterical. I became hysterical. Vaping equals 1 popcorn lung, I agree. 1 vape equals 1 popcorn lung. I'm hysterical at this point, and I feel... I can't pronounce the word feel, as I have no feelings. I'm hysterical at this point, and I feel tears welling up in my eyes. Suddenly I wake up. I shoot up from my bed, my cat still next to the mattress and my mom still on the couch, sleeping in the same position I've seen her in. I look out the window, panicking, and it's locked from the inside, just like I left it before going to sleep. I unlocked it and opened it, making sure that there's nobody outside. I close and lock the window and lay back down, sobbing. I just cried myself to sleep that night. A few days later, I've decided to tell my mom about the dream. I didn't want to at first because I thought that she wouldn't pay much attention to it. But since it had me on so much... Oh, shit. What are you vaping, exactly? What am I vaping? Is it butter? Butter oil? Vape? Flavor? Okay, where am I? But since it had me so on edge, I told her, and just as I expected, she told me that I'd been listening to too many horror stories and didn't take me too seriously. After maybe a week, I forgot about the dream and moved on. And then one evening, everything was going fine. I was preparing myself for the next day since I had to do a big presentation in front of the whole class. I wanted to look my best. It was about midnight. I took a shower, brushed my teeth, and went to sleep as usual. My mom was still up on her phone, but about to go to sleep. I doze off peacefully. But suddenly, I wake up for no reason and have the massive urge to look behind me at the windows. To my horror, I saw a tall man in my window, about halfway in, with one leg almost on the floor. I panicked and thought that I was dreaming again, but quickly realized that I can move, so no, I wasn't dreaming. Still being in a state of fear and confusion, I whispered, "What the fart? What the fart?" Okay. Christopher, thanks for stopping by. Sorry you gotta go to work, but this stream should be on my streams playlist at the bottom of the list. You can sort through them and stuff. But yeah, the stream will be available for everyone later on. Still being in a state of fear and confusion, I whispered, "Oh my God." And to my complete horror, the man looked up, all dark but eyes shining in the moonlight. But on the creepiest... What? But on the creepiest ear-to-ear grin, put a finger to his lips and said, "Shh," in the most menacing way ever. I had no idea what to do, so I said louder, "Oh my God." And then I jumped and screamed, and started screaming like a banshee. The guy got startled and almost fell back, so I took the opportunity and closed and locked the window, just as he was about to try to get back in. My screaming woke my mom up, and she ran up asking what had happened. I started nervously explaining all that had happened, and then we saw the dude climb up to our window again, but the one right next to me, trying to open it. As I saw that, I screamed even louder, and as he was opening it, I pushed him and he fell down, calling me every name under the sun. He then tried to make up some terrible excuse, but in my panicked state, I started yelling at him at the top of my lungs to get out. I kept on yelling for about 5 minutes like a total crazy person until the guy finally said something along the lines of, "Fine then." It was as if I was obliged to let him in and started walking away. I slammed all the windows shut and locked them, sat down on my mattress and proceeded to sob loudly as my mom was next to me, trying to calm me down. We thought that was it, but a few minutes later I saw him again, climbing up our balcony, and I started screaming again, opened one of the windows and yelled so loud that I almost lost my voice. I closed and locked the window, and my mom and I went to... I closed and locked the windows, and my mom and I went to the guard to tell him what had happened. I described the man to him as best as I could, but since it was dark, I couldn't say much about his appearance. He told us to just go home and stay calm, that he'll handle the situation. When we were going back, we saw about 8 neighbors of ours standing outside wondering what had happened. They all gave us sympathetic looks as... Oh, shit. Sympathetic looks. They all gave us a sympathetic look. They all gave... Jesus. Got the scritchy scratchies. Mom, I got the squeakies in my throat. Owen, Helm Cop with the $5. Thank you, Owen. Skylar, yeah, no, it's like impossible to do a perfect run. I've done it before, not through all the stories, but I've done an individual story perfectly through before. But man, I really have to be like zoned in. Sometimes I even get caught up just like thinking about other things as I'm reading, which is really weird. Like I'm reading, but I'm also like my other part of my brain is somewhere else doing something, and then it distracts me. And then I start thinking like, man, I've made it really far, like not making any mistakes, and then all of a sudden, here comes a mistake. Okay. They all gave us sympathetic looks as we went back home. My mom gave me some medicine to help me calm down, and I was crying and shaking vigorously for about an hour, until I was finally so exhausted that I just went to sleep with her, since I didn't want to sleep on the balcony anymore. The next day I showed up to school looking like trash when I told someone what happened. The next day I showed up to school looking like trash. When I told someone what happened, they either didn't believe me or would brush it off, saying, "It's fine, you're alright now." After a few days, my mom confronted me about it and said she was sorry that she didn't take my dream seriously, though I wasn't mad at all, just shocked. She said that she was just about to fall asleep but woke up to me screaming. She told me that my screams were the most blood-curdling ones she had ever heard in her life, but the scariest part is that I woke up for no reason. I just had the massive urge to look back. There was absolutely no noise when the man opened the window and was climbing in. I even asked my mother if she had heard anything, and she said that no, it was absolutely silent. Who knows what the man would have done if I hadn't have woken up, though I'm glad I didn't have to find out. The fact that also really shook me is that I had a dream of something similar happening about 3 weeks before it actually happened, in real life. Though sadly, I don't know what happened to that man, if he was arrested or not. We never saw him again. But either way, I'm just glad that we moved out of that apartment soon later. And to you, window man, that has traumatized me that day. Oh man. How do you at someone and it shows up orange? You just do at, and then type it in. And then space after you type their name in. You probably don't even have to type their full name, and it might show up, and you can click it, I think, or something like that. Do I watch Archer? I've seen Archer, and it's pretty good. Never really got really into it, but I definitely have seen a few episodes and felt pretty content watching it. Though sadly I don't know what happened to that man, if he was arrested or not. We never saw him again. But either way, I'm just glad that we moved out of that apartment. Soon, later. Foot butter, don't they make that? Oh yeah. Burger King foot butter. Oh boy. It was pretty funny. I was playing Overwatch or whatever, and sometimes I'll just talk to random people, and one kid was saying that I just asked him what his favorite YouTubers were, and he said Chills. And I was like, oh my god, because knowing Chills and having worked with him and stuff. And I was like, do you know Let's Read? And it was just funny. He's like, no. And then that was it. I told him to subscribe or I would throw the game, so hopefully he's in the chat right now. I'm sorry for throwing the game last night. Subscribe or I'm playing Bastion. Also, Mercury the Scribe with $5 says, "Give me nightmares." I'm trying my best. So I went to Goodwill earlier, and my buddy had found like an old cappuccino machine for like $15, and he found it online for like $200, so that was kind of sweet. And then, when you go to Goodwill, you kind of have to buy something because it's all just this random junk. You're at you get that yard sale vibe, and I found this section that literally just had like old, how do you say Joel? I need to know. So it's just Joel. Though whenever I go to anywhere south of Florida, they call me Joel, which is funny. So they had this whole section devoted to like candlesticks, which I just thought was pretty funny. Like people just bringing in like droves of candlesticks, and so I got one that looked like something you would see in like Clue as like a murder weapon, and I got a ton of like legitimate like candle wax, like those long stick ones, and I got these ones that's like beeswax candles, because it like when you feel it, it kind of feels like you're holding a bee's nest or whatever you call it. Please do weaker voice. What does that mean? Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because normally like most candles like kind of drip down the side, but this like bees honeycomb type candle is burning great, but it's not doing any drippies. That's kind of hilarious. Jolé, Jolé, oh Jolé, Jolé. Bee socks. There might be legitimate bees coming out of that soon after, and I will be in some deep to-do. Gaming 101, what's going on? Welcome. My favorite type of horror story is Bigfoot. I like Bigfoot because I hope he's real, and I hope he's watching the stream, and I want him to know that I love him deeply. I miss him. Call me, Bigfoot. Call me, please. Do I believe in ghosts? I don't know. I definitely believe in the afterlife. I believe in sort of demonic things, or like the existence of spiritual beings and stuff. But I often wonder to myself, like, because I kind of adhere more to like the biblical perspective of like afterlife kind of lore, I guess you could say, and it doesn't really go into much about like ghosts, you know, like per se, like humans being stuck, humans being like just stuck in houses and or just like haunting places and stuff, you know. And I just wondered to myself, like, you know, obviously it's difficult to be scientific, you know, in the sense of how do you explain the esoteric, how do you explain the metaphysical, and you know, what specifically keeps someone bound to haunt a house forever or some shite like that, you know what I mean? But I don't know. There's so much strange stuff. Like, I kind of agree to the potentiality of a natural phenomenon of residual energies that, residual energies that exist, where if something was done 1 trillion times, or if someone died a certain way, maybe that event replays in this world, and the energy that it manifests somehow is able to be translated to our brain through signals, and we visualize it and are able to see it being replayed. But as far as then I think anything that interacts with us maybe directly, maybe in a nefarious aspect, I sometimes attribute that to some sort of demonic activity. Yeah, how do you explain Ghost Kitten? I don't know. Ghost Kitten just wanted to come say hi, I guess. But it would be really sad. I don't know, what would be sadder, like going to hell or being stuck here on Earth, like not knowing, I don't know, not knowing anything about anything. Would kind of just be sad. You just, yeah, obviously hell would probably suck more, I guess, you know. But sometimes I almost feel like I don't really know how it all works, I guess, so. Anyways, moving on. Can't explain nothing, moving on. If you hang your butter socks up to dry outside, Bigfoot will come in your butter socks. True. What the fuck? Full disclosure, I'm a little shit disturber. I learned it from my dad and passed it onto my cat. We all love to push the buttons of people and view the result, even the people we love, while recognizing that it's done just in mirth. Okay. Okay, we got a troll. I like trolls. I'm a troll of myself. I dabble in the trolleyhood. So one day about 6 years ago on a YouTube comment section, which I am convinced is comprised about... right out the gate. So one day about 6 years ago on a YouTube comment section, which I am convinced comprises the bowels of the internet, there was some guy posting full of bravado and self-praise about everything under the sun, while putting other people down in a fashion that I found unacceptable, even though he had... Even though he did have excellent grammatical and linguistic skills. In particular, he was singing his praises about his chess-playing abilities, which he clearly took much pride in. Being the snarky bastard. Scoot Games, don't you lie to me. It's not 69, it's 52 or 1. Mistakes. Being the snarky booger that I am, I called him out on it, since he was definitely over the top and it sounded like a load of garbage. I mean, the guy stated that he was one of the top chess players in the world and went on and on about it, which I highly doubt was true. Really, it was nothing more than the typical playful banner of noise and nastiness that is YouTube comment sections. This guy, however, had narcissistic personality disorder. During the few comments we exchanged, he admitted as much, but thought it was one of his biggest strengths rather than weaknesses, and saw no reason to get help for it. From my understanding of NPDs, this is not uncommon. Anyways, having angered this guy, he made it his mission, for about 4 weeks, to research me extensively. By extensively, I mean that he probably made me his full-time job. I try to keep my social media accounts quite separate by using different usernames and posting few details about myself, but within the first week, this guy managed to locate most of my accounts and spent hours and hours posting insulting, nasty comments in response to my YouTube videos, my tweets, my comments, my Facebook comments, etc. He doxed me, finding my PhD math thesis, posting it online repeatedly, and criticizing my methodology, which was ridiculous. My PhD thesis was nominated for awards and laid out the foundation of a new area of combinatorial. Kind of funny this person's talking about narcissistic personalities and then goes on to like low-key brag about their PhD thesis. What is it? What is this word? Combinatorics? Siri, what is combinatorics? Well, Joel. Combinatorics is something that your dumb brain can't wrap its head around to the point it can even pronounce it right. Or this might be loud.
Combinatorics.
Combinatorics. Oh, okay. We got it right. Ish. 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 Weird flex, but okay. Well, we got chicken legs in the chat. What's going on? What's going on with these chicken legs? You calling me chicken legs? JK. My PhD thesis was nominated for awards and laid out the foundation of a new area of combinatorics. I mean, this means that the dude read my PhD thesis, several hundred pages, just to criticize me. Given that it's in math, that alone is incredibly creepy. He responded to every YouTube video I had posted, taunting me with nasty comments, and replied to hundreds of my posts, even 5+ years old, attacking me on every detail of anything I said. We were talking small typos to some unintentional grammatical errors and a few bursts of outrage. I'm a gay man on many LGBT... Shit. Too many letters. Okay. I'm a gay man on many LGBT rights websites. It's hard to sometimes not be frustrated. I mean, this guy must have spent hundreds of hours researching me and posting in response to me from fairly old posts. While nobody else seemed to care, it was terrifying to me to get daily notifications from him, posting my full name everywhere with detailed information about my location and life. Fortunately, I lived in a different continent than he did, even though he made some threats to come visit me. I figured it was best to ignore him, but it went on for, as I said, about 4 weeks, until some women online, and a very talented chess player, made the mistake of Okay. Sorry. Dab. Just look at my AirPods. Dab. There you go. The way to do it. Sorry, it's just sometimes I read your guys' stuff in the chat and it just makes me laugh really hard that I can't even say what you just said. Okay, I'm back. My head is aching less. Okay, spooky. Sorry about your head. We're going to have to do a lobotomy to let out some air, some pressure. Dab. Look at me dab, dab. Where was I? I mean, this guy must have spent hundreds of hours researching me. Blah, 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 blah. Fortunately, I live in a different continent than he did, even though he made some threats to come visit me. I figured it was best to ignore him, but it went on for, as I said, about 4 weeks, until some woman online, a very talented chess player, made the mistake of insulting him about his grandiose delusions of being a master chess player, at which point he thankfully shifted sights to her. I messaged her privately and warned her about this unstable guy, but he still stalked her for several months, doxing her and demanding that she play him games of chess online at the threat of more doxing, telling her that she would play him on such a server at such and such a time, or else she would forfeit and be scorned. Much of the time, she said he never Much of the time, she said she had never heard of the obscure servers he mentioned, but he demanded that she comply. I finally lost track of him, but his posts remained online, containing all my personal information, which is disturbing, seeing as I try to keep my social media accounts and my real life as separate as I can manage. I'm not ashamed of anything I say online, but want the division and some reasonable level of anonymity all the same. So, to the crazy dude, proud of his narcissistic personality disorder, I hope we never meet again. And I hope that others maintain. And I hope that others remain safe from you. I've since learned to be much more careful about my online interactions, and to not push buttons just for the sake of doing so, because sometimes it just isn't safe. Alright, we're at 57 mess-ups. But we are at 3 stories remaining. Can he do it, ladies and gentlemen? Can he do it? LGBTQ butter. They might have it. Might be out there. If not, time to invent. Narcissism. Where does it begin? At what point in the child's development do they become narcissistic? Alright, since we're going to be getting into it hard here, it's time to lube up, re-lubricate. I'm going to have to train my cat to do my lubing for me. Lube up the lips with my personal LGBTQ butter. Do a gargle. He's done a gargle. And now, don't report me about my interactions with a cat, okay? My cat wears socks every night. He wears little butter mittens. Gargle or bong hit? You decide, bro. Alright. Sherrod, Heaven's Gatekeeper. Interesting. This happened in 2006 in Provo, Utah. 2 childhood friends and I had just moved from a small town to start college. There are 2 colleges in the area, one in Brigham Young University, predominantly Mormon population. The other was a small state college at the time. It's now a university. Of course, us non-Mormon boys end up finding an amazing old house for rent right in the epicenter of Zubyville, a term used by non-BYU kids referring to students at BYU. It's loosely based on the premise that at one time the students weren't allowed to leave the campus, therefore they were trapped there like zoo animals. Knowing that we are technically in the territory for approved housing by BYU Knowing that we are technically in the territory for approved housing by BYU standards, we figured we were in a pretty alright area. Bizarre area, but nothing creepy. Oh fuck. Like it. I suck butt, dude. I suck butt! I suck butt! I suck every butt ever. I suck all the butts. Okay. Yeah. I smell like beef. I smell like beef. That does sound like that. It's funny. Knowing that we are technically in the territory for approval housing for BYU standards, we figured we were in a pretty alright area. Bizarre area, but nothing crazy. We literally were the only party house I knew of within a few square miles. One day during our first weekend at the house, we hear someone speak loudly in front of our house, so naturally we investigate. We find a man, I'd say in his early 40s, doing pull-ups from a limb of our tree. He sees us looking out the open door and tells us and yells. He sees us looking out the open door and yells for us to come introduce ourselves since we were his new neighbors. This guy was ripped. Not just for a 40-something-year-old. I'm saying you can see every fiber of his muscles. As we approach, I reach out my hand and introduce myself. He quickly smacks my hand away and firmly says, "Never touch a black man's hand." I gave a short-lived giggle as I realized he was dead serious. To clarify, he was African American. He then introduces himself as Sherrod, the Gatekeeper of Heaven, but his real name is Alan. "I've been sent there by God himself to keep anyone but the almighty white man out of heaven." He tells us he is... He tells us he is in Jesus' original body, but he has adapted it to be fit for defending heaven, that his arms are his rifle stocks. When I ask him where he lives, sure enough, he points to the very next house. Great. I never felt threatened by the guy, but also always kept my wits about me when he was around. I didn't know the volatility of his mental state. Weeks go by with small interactions. Him doing push-ups in our grass, pull-ups from our tree while sharing ridiculous stories about his past. He explained to us that you must put your heart against Mother Earth to live a long, healthy life, and that if he doesn't do it, bad things will happen. This leads to when things starts going from comical, creepy. We had noticed that we hadn't seen him in our yard for a few days, so when we saw him walking out of his house, my buddy yelled at him, "Haven't seen you working out. You better get on it, or bad things will start to happen." Sherrod visibly starts limping over, explains that he was riding his bike back from shooting pool. Jesus also taught him how to play pool and helped him fight off a motorcycle gang while he was there. And some woman, the Antichrist, had seen him coming and stuck her foot into his spokes and sent him flying, and he landed on his heart, so he needs to give it... God. What the fuck is this story? So he needs to give it time to heal. The way he told the story was hilarious. He didn't mean it to be, but it was everything we had... Jeez, I suck. But it took everything we had not to bust up laughing. Well, as bad and... Dude, we're creeping up, man. I can't... Whenever, like... Honestly, this is the hardest part, like... For me, like... This is, like, a giant wall of paragraph. I mean, I'm not mad. I mean, obviously I don't care, because it's just... But, like, there's something like a mental block whenever you see, like, a huge wall of text where you just, like... You're reading it out loud, you just, like... You know, sometimes getting to, like, a paragraph area, like, right here, just... I don't know, just makes it really nice to be able to, like, stop, gather your thoughts, like, physically visualize where you're going next, you know what I mean? Like, and it's all good, no worries. The way he told the story was hilarious. He didn't mean it to be, but it took everything we had not to bust up laughing. Well, as bad random fortune would have it, Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter, died of a freak accident the following day. My buddy and I were getting home from work right at the same time the following day when Sherrod comes running over. "You knew!" Pointing right at my friend. "You knew that I wasn't putting my heart to the ground and something bad was going to happen." We didn't know about Irwin's death yet, so... What the fuck? We didn't know about Irwin's death yet, so we're both... We didn't know about Irwin's death, so we're both thinking, oh, what happened? What has he done? Mother Earth couldn't feel my heartbeat, so she had to take a person of nature to remind me that I can never stop. She took that crocodile hunter. The crocodile hunter. This is when he decided we were more than just neighbors. We were prophets. He named my friend Peepsight because he can see the future. He named me Honcho. He said I was very special and am the equivalent of God on Earth, and that everyone, including him and Peepsight, must worship me. Okay, weird. But this guy clearly is mentally unstable. I have an aunt with paranoid schizophrenia, so I'm thinking with super qualified medical knowledge that he suffers from the same thing. This is exactly something she would say. But instead of me being God, it would be Axl Rose. As weird as things... As weird as things are getting with the guy, we have no reason to fear him. He is always very energetic and happy to see us. I mean, he would never do anything bad to a god or prophet, right? But he did get weirder by the day. The day after Sherrod gave us our new titles, I hear Peepsight yell for me in a nervous tone to come to the back door. There they stood. Sherrod is opening a bottle of olive oil and telling my buddy to take his shirt off. He's telling us he needs to anoint us. "I gotta bless those wings," he said. At this point, I'm thinking this whole thing has run its course and is now just plain annoying. We both tell him no and absolutely not taking our shirts off so you can rub oil on us. We settle on letting him rub a drop on our foreheads, hoping that will make him leave us alone. He gave me the bottle of olive oil and said I can now start blessing those who deserve it. and told my friend that he needs to protect the house and to make everyone who comes over say, "Praise Jesus." If they can't or won't say it, it's because they're demons. He knocked on our door the very next day and asked if he could come in. Friend yelled, "Let me hear you say praise Jesus." Oh. Alright. Praise Jesus, everybody. I am E-Girl Club. or, Lame Girl Club. I thought it said I am E-Girl. Praise Jesus, hallelujah. Here we go. Alright, so he knocked on our door the very next day and asked if we could come in. Friend yelled, "Let me say praise Jesus." He replied, "Shit," and walked away. Okay. He knocked on our door the very next day and asked if he could come in. Friend yelled, "Let me hear you say praise Jesus." He swore and walked away. Guess that wasn't weird at all. Weeks go by with the average interactions. We've all been pretty disengaging with him as, like I said, the hilarity of the situation is worn off. One afternoon while loading my suitcase into my car when he pops up out of nowhere. "Where are you going?" This is where the weirdest stuff happened with Sherrod and the only time I felt nervous that something might go down. He pulls out a bag of razor blades and asks if I can do him a favor. He tells me that Jesus ordered him to save all his razors he uses to shave his head, and that one day someone important will come along that can take them and dump them into the ocean for him. God, that went down. Praise Ben Shapiro. Praise Ben. Next meme. Oh, nice. 69. Nice. 69, praise Jesus. Oh my god. Okay. He tells him that Jesus will make... Okay, where am I at? He tells me that Jesus ordered him to save all his razors he uses to shave his head, and that one day, someone important will come along that can take them and dump them into the ocean for him. Yeah, not gonna happen. I tell him there's no way I will be getting a bag of razors past security, and I would never dump anything into the ocean, let alone razor blades. He tells me that Jesus will make sure security won't find the bag and nothing bad will happen if they are in the ocean. I'm adamant that this is not going to happen, and with every no, I can see him get a little angrier, a little more intense. This was the anger from desperation, and you know the saying, desperate times call for desperate measures. So, this put me on high alert. I mean, he literally has hundreds of razor blades in his hand. God knows what kind of disease you could get if one of those cut you. He truly believed this is how the story was supposed to go. After what seemed like an hour-long discussion/argument, it was probably 10 minutes in reality. He was defeated. He stormed off, muttering beneath his breath that I couldn't make out. Turned and yelled for me to fuck off multiple times, but that was the end of it. Turned and screamed obscenities at me multiple times, but that was the end of the conversation. After spending a week in Hawaii, a week without dealing with the crazy neighbor, anxiety of having to deal with him hit while on my way home. However, luck was on my side. While I was gone, Sherrod was arrested. I can't remember the exact charges, but it was bad. I want to say rape. See, I can't, in videos, I can't say rape or attempted murder. I can't really say murder. Various drug charges, I don't even know. Assault. Yes, good thinking, Spooky. Want to say some form of assault and various drug charges as well. We also found out this wasn't the first time. That the house next door was a halfway house, and we figured out this early. Oh shit. We also found out this wasn't the first time, and that the house next door was a halfway house. Yeah, that's weird. You think they would have interacted with a lot more other people as well, but I suppose not. Makes sense. Like drugs really mess people up. It sucks. I read this, or I didn't read it, but I watched a video on Reddit earlier. And it was just like, "Don't do drugs, kids," and it was just like a video of this guy who was on something, bath salts or some sort of craziness, also interacting with chat is hard sometimes because sometimes it goes and you can't like click on something to whatever. Anyways, yeah, the person was on bath salts or something, and they were at this like pole on the street and just like screaming insane things, and just like around the pole was like soil, and they were just like digging into the street, like the street pole, and just screaming crazy shit. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And the person was like brave enough to get close enough to just like film it right in the dude's face. That's the kind of drug that eats faces off. There's a crazy one in the dollar store too. I met a crazy boy on Valentine's Day. Okay, we got two more. This one's not too long. Next one's about the same. Here we go. I'm a 27-year-old girl, and even though this story happened almost 20 years ago, I still think back to it every year around this time. I was 9 years old, in grade 4, and it was Valentine's Day. We had spent the week decorating our class store for the yearly competition and making a big card for... Oh, crap. I already read this one. I just realized this. Walking a few seconds later, I've been pushed up against the short railing looking over the auditorium. Yeah, I already read this one. Shit. All these years later, I still think back to the day. Yeah. This one was pretty crazy because the person, she like borderline was like thrown over a cliff of sorts. And let's see. Perhaps this will be a fine replacement. Yeah, you saw the behind the scenes. Spooky says, should we start getting shorter stories? I don't think so. The longer videos tend to do better. You know, if a story is shorter, I don't mind, you know, having a medium-sized one or whatever in between, you know, some other ones. You know, whatever you're able to get permission for and stuff like that. I'm happy to read it. I think sometimes it's not, you know, some people send in like one paragraph stories, and I'm obviously not really into those too much. Alright, see ya, 5,000 subs, take it easy, Home. So this happened about 6 months ago. I'm originally from a town in the north of the UK, but I was living in a different part of the country at the time for university. I was just going into my second year, so I had moved from student accommodations, like halls, to a house share with 4 other girls. We were in a pretty nice house in a small dead-end street. We were in a pretty nice house in a small dead-end street, and all the shops and bars were at the end of our street. I was in a bedroom that was on the bottom floor and at the front of the house. It had originally been a living room, but had been changed into a bedroom for student housing, because it used to be a living room with the window. The window was a huge bay window that took up the entire length of the front wall. The house had a big driveway and a front garden, both with fences around. This meant that you couldn't walk past the front of the house without intending to be there. You would have to walk up the driveway. I'd been living in the house for almost 2 weeks when this happened. On this particular night, there was only 2 of us, and I had been living in the house for about 2 weeks when this happened. On this particular night, there was only 2 of us in, as our other 3 roommates had gone home for the weekend. The other girl that was in had a second-floor bedroom, also on the front of the house. It was around 2 a.m. and I was sat in bed watching Netflix. I didn't usually stay up this late, but I was talking to a new boy at the time, and I would often stay up late just to talk to him. Sad, I know, but new relationships are exciting. I remember wanting to go to sleep at about 12:30 and deciding to stay up for a bit longer to talk to him, and I'm so glad that I did. At this time, I was quite naive and didn't really think much about the dangers of not locking doors and leaving windows open. I grew up in a very nice area where we didn't even really have to lock our doors, and so I still wasn't out of this mindset. This experience has definitely changed that. Because of this, I had one of my windows slightly open and my curtains were open. The curtains didn't matter too much because the way the house was built, the garden and trees were right in front of my window, meaning no one could see in unless they stood directly in front of it. Being naive, I didn't think there was a possibility that anyone would try to. I was half lying down, half sitting up in bed with my laptop in front of me. I didn't have my laptop on too high a volume as, although she was upstairs, there was another girl in the house and I wanted to be respectful. All of a sudden, I saw a shadow go past my window, like a person walking past. I immediately froze. Like I mentioned earlier, there was no way someone could just walk past unless they walked down my driveway and were specifically coming to my house. I thought maybe someone had walked down the wrong driveway or was possibly cutting through and was going to jump the fence to another house. Something didn't sit right about this at all. However, so I left my laptop running and just looked at the window for a second. I couldn't see out the window at all since it was so dark outside, but I could make out shadows on the wall just next to it. For a second there was nothing, then a shadow... Oh my lord. For a second there was nothing, then a shadow of a man went past, and the shadow of another man about 2 seconds afterwards. At this point, I knew something was wrong and I shut my laptop immediately in the hope that if they looked in the window they wouldn't see me. A bit of time went past, maybe like a minute or 2, and I just sat in the pitch black waiting to see if I saw anything else. After this bit of time went by, another shadow of a man went past my window in the opposite direction, as if they had both walked in front of my window into the back of the house, but only one came back. I was certain at this point that they were doing something wrong, but for some reason I could not move. My brain was trying to process a million things at once, and I was so scared that I froze. I felt like if I moved, then they would know I was there, and I had no idea whether this was a good thing or a bad thing. For all I knew, they could have been hoping for a young 19-year-old girl to be inside. I didn't want to run the risk of letting them know that there was. I was also completely naked under my covers, and it definitely crossed my mind that if I got up and they could see in the windows, they would see me. After what felt like an eternity of just sitting, waiting, I heard a loud bang on my window. It sounded like someone had hit something such as a rock off the window with force. I assumed they were trying to break the window and panicked hugely but still couldn't move. I can't explain what was going through my mind, but It was almost like I was waiting for a completely definitive thing to happen before I got up, as if I was being overdramatic or something. After the loud noise, I would say maybe 30 seconds went past, and then all of a sudden, my curtains started moving, and I see a hand come round the side of them to get to them out of the fuck. God damn it. Some of these like run-on sentences, I'm just like, what? After the loud noise, I would say maybe 30 seconds went past, and then all of a sudden my curtains started moving, and I see a hand come round the side of them to get them out of the way. They were big curtains, and my openable windows were on either side of the big window, meaning they were slightly blocked, even by the Holy shit. Oh, why there's... Okay, sorry. It's like... Okay. I gotta focus on this sentence. This is a focused, required sentence. Yes, Mike, I will sign your cat. There's just like so much information in this one sentence. After the loud noise, I would say maybe 30 seconds went past, and then all of a sudden my curtains started moving, and I see a hand come round the side of them to get them out of the way. They were big curtains, and my openable windows were on either side of the big window, meaning they were slightly blocked even by the open curtains. I then looked over to the curtains and see a figure of a man climbing through my window. He was halfway through my window with the top half of his body inside my room. This is when my mind finally decided that this was a fight or flight situation, and I shot up and ran towards my door on the other side of the room. It was locked, so I had to fumble for the key, turn it, and then open the door and run, all the while making a huge amount of noise. I ran up the stairs and knocked on my roommate's room. Still completely naked, I should add, so the image she must have got when she opened the door is quite amusing to think about. She opened the door almost immediately, which I found odd for it being 2 a.m., but was thankful nonetheless. I told her what had happened, and we locked her door and started panicking. Neither of us knew what to do, as we had never been in a situation like this before. Being stupid and young, I decided to ring my mum. Completely not helpful to the situation, but I wasn't thinking straight. And she told me to ring the police immediately. So, we rang the police, and because we didn't know if the men were in the house or not, they arrived within 2 minutes, as if it may have been an act of burglary. I had left my laptop and all my possessions in my room, other than my phone, because it happened to be in my hand when I ran, so if they were in my room, they would have plenty to take. Police arrived, and we threw down some keys from the top window to them so they could let themselves in. They searched the whole house top to bottom and found no one. I went down when they assured us it was safe and checked my room, and nothing had been taken. Knew for sure they They mustered. I knew for sure they haven't even... Be sure to like that video if you haven't already. It is interesting, like, I mean, I know people are on at different times, but it does make, because, you know, YouTube, like I have right now, it's been kind of around like 240 viewers active on the stream, and I'm just kind of confused as to like what makes YouTube push live streams out to more people. Obviously, maybe no one's really interested in it, and it's just, but I just feel like this number of like 240 has been relatively consistent, and I feel like with additional subs and the channel growing and stuff, you would imagine that more people would jump into it, just out of curiosity, you know what I mean? That I wonder if there's some sort of like thing that has to trigger on YouTube for them to send notifications out to all the good humans out there. Death the Kid. Joel, how's it hanging? It's hanging. A little to the left, but we are getting close. Yeah, how many mistakes are we on? We're on 81. That's more than I hoped for. Alright. Spend your maple dollars wisely. I shall. on bacon and butter. I knew for sure they mustn't have even come into my room at all, as my laptop was clear as day on my bed, and would have been the first thing that they had seen if they had. The police agreed that I must have scared them off by getting up, as they mustn't have been expecting anyone to be in. They must have thought the room was a living room, as it made sense for it to be, and have been expecting to rob the house while everyone was asleep upstairs. I had this crazy thought process through all of this, where I was starting to wonder if I had seen what I thought. Oh my god. Allie Lucy with a 5 says for Butter Mittens. That's actually a great name for a cat, Butter Mittens. Butter Mittens, come here. Come here, Butter. I had this crazy thought process through all of this, where I started wondering if I had seen what I thought I had. Amity. Primity and a brimity. I can't read for the life of me. I'm gonna re so loud. I'm gonna re. I had this crazy thought process through all of this, where I started wondering if I had seen what I thought I had, and started doubting myself and wondering if I was just insane. But when I went down to check my room, my window had been completely open to its fullest extent. I had opened it only a crack at most, and this just confirmed that what I had seen was completely real. I learned a valuable lesson about leaving windows open that day for sure. While the police were there, they actually got radioed about an attempted robbery just a couple of streets along from mine, and they suspected it was the same 2 men. Nothing ever came back about that though, so they mustn't have caught them, unfortunately. They told us that if they did catch anybody engaging in any similar crime, they would get back in touch, but this day, they haven't. So either they had been caught and not connected to my case, or they haven't been caught at all. CSI came the next day and actually managed to get a fingerprint from the window, but they said the person must have been sweating or something, as the fingerprint was too smudged to get anything from. So glad I decided to stay up later, as if I hadn't been awake for this, they would have physically been in my room by the time I noticed that they were there, or they noticed me. The thought of waking up to 2 men in my room is terrifying, and I'm not sure what they would have done if they had got into the room before realizing, as there was then no easy escape for them. They would have had to have climbed out the tiny window again, or unlock my bedroom door and then the front door to get out. This might have led to a violent and nasty situation if they had realized that they were stuck in a room with an eyewitness, and it doesn't bear thinking about. Bear thinking about? What does that mean? Bears? Are they talking about specifically about bears? Do you think that was a bear that robbed this girl? Ja, bears. Bear page. Bears and beards. Bear beards. There you go. Anybody wants to start a beard trimming shop / hunting shop called Bear Beards. Bears and beards. We hunt bears, we hunt beards. Rawr. Okay. Also, blah, blah, blah. Where was I? They would have okay. They would have had to climb out the tiny window again, or unlock my bedroom door, and then the front door to get out. Did I? God. Rap and poop. Where's the bear? I need to find the bear word. Jeesh Louish, Papa Squish. This might have led to a violent and nasty situation, and if they had realized they were stuck in a room with an eyewitness, and it doesn't bear thinking about. Also, my roommate told me after the police left that she had actually woken up for some reason about 5 minutes before I came flying up the stairs, and she said she heard the loud bang on my window when she was already awake. She started to get a bad feeling after that, and had waited up for a bit sitting on the end of her bed next to the door, just in case I came running up. It's very interesting that she woke up during this, as the men were not loud at any point other than when they hit the window. Maybe that says a lot about the body's ability to detect danger. I unfortunately ended up not being able to sleep in that room after that without having all the lights on, and soon after decided to move back home for university because I felt so uneasy living down there. Oh shit, that's where I mean, I don't know how you guys feel, but I hate a story that ends with "let's not meet." I mean, it's obviously part of the whole spiel or whatever, but I just I don't know why people put it there. I don't know why it just sounds so cringy. It's like the noping out of places and stuff like that. I noped out of there. Like, I get it. Like, it's a meme. It's a meme-y thing. Some memes are supposed to die. A violent death. I'm just kidding. Okay. I, unfortunately, ended up not being able to sleep in that room after that without having all the lights on, and soon after, decided to move back home for university because I felt so uneasy living down there. You like Nope? Yeah, Nope's not... I don't know. When you hear it a trillion times, it just gets so old, and you're like, why? Can't you just say you got out of there, you pooped out of there, you buttered out of there, you sharted? Anything other than noped. But I do get it when you see, yeah, you ran like heck. You heckin' ran. Leets not meets again. You yeet? Yeah, can you just yeet? Can we all just yeet out of something? I yeeted out of there quicker than a dicker. Do you narrate them then? Just wondering why you said we. I'm not aware you're a narrator, are you? Oh, spooky. I don't know. Sometimes I refer to the whole process as a we. Like I'm the queen. We would like to eat cake. But it definitely, the Let's Read process is not completely a one-man operation here. We are a family. We are cult of butter. Lube Joel up. Everybody lube me up, please, for this last story. I yeeted out of there faster than my dad leaving to buy milk 15 years ago. It's a long time ago to remember a milk purchase. We should refrain from facilitating interpersonal introductions. Cat Reveal. Cat Reveal's out there somewhere. It's definitely on Twitter. If you search through my media, yada yada yada. You might not like everything you find on there. You think I would make a good queen or king? Maybe Prince Charles will have me. Charles, the royal wedding is coming soon. How should we feed the peasants? When am I going to reveal my first Sona? I've already decided that my first Sona is actually... It's not a mammal, it's actually a slug. So if you ever see me at furry conventions, the guy who's dragging around a bunch of slime on the ground in his slug suit, that's most likely me. I have so many experiences that belong here. Now this happened when I had just turned 18, about 5 years ago, so some details are hazy, but most are still extremely clear. It was my first job, just as a convenience store cashier in a pretty low-traffic plaza within walking distance from my house, and I was pretty good at working there. My managers liked me because I followed the rules due to a fear I've always had about getting in trouble. Unfortunately, my managers also did not do anything when I was harassed, which happened pretty much 3 or more times a week. Now, I was 18, but I looked about 14, I constantly got asked, and still 5 years later, if I was even old enough to be working. So when I got hit on by much, much older men, it wasn't just creepy, it was bordering on predatory behavior. A 30-year-old man charmed me into giving him my number once, and when I told him how old I was, he said, "Wow, I thought you were a lot younger." That's good. So, he thought I was younger than 18, and still wanted to date me. And the conversation ended there. At this point though, besides the weekly guys hitting on me, that time I was threatened by an old guy on what had to have been hardcore meth. Had to have been hardcore meth to kill me with his chicken wing bone while eating. Samantha with the 2 says, "Hope this helps." Thank you, Samantha. Yeah, everything helps, and I really appreciate it. Okay. What is the sentence here? We have come across a grammatical anomaly. At this point, though, besides the weekly guys hitting on me, and that time I was threatened by an old guy on what had to have been hardcore meth to kill me with his chicken wing bone while eating it, I figured it out. I figured it out. Can we get some chicken in the chat, please? At this point, though, besides the weekly guys hitting on me, and at that time I was threatened by an old guy on what had to have been hardcore meth to kill me with his chicken wing bone while eating it, nothing really crazy had happened. I hoped it wouldn't because, again, no one ever did anything even when I complained. 9:57 one night before closing at 10, a younger-looking kid comes in, probably mid-20s, patchy beard that looks like when a 15-year-old tries to grow one. Looks like he still lives in mommy's basement playing video games. You know, that kind of guy. He comes in alone, gets a drink, and messes around the store until we make the announcement that we are closing in 1 minute. Then he comes up to the counter, gives me a really creepy grin. Ugh. Why does this author not like video gamers? Gamers are the backbone of society. I don't know if she realizes this. Gamers rise up. Then he comes up to the counter, gives me a really creepy grin, and starts chatting. From the get-go, I had this weirdly bad vibe about this dude, and my manager is in the office doing closing stuff, so I'm checking him out, but by myself. He's just being really creepy. When the register opens to give him his change, he starts chuckling and saying, "Wow, that's a lot. Oh, can I have some?" I'm leaning over the counter. I actually thought he was going to rob me, but I'm a nervous person with anxiety, so I was stammering and laughing nervously and pretending it was normal, and he leans even closer and says, "Ah, you just want to go home, don't you? You just want to go home, right? You really just want to go home." The creepiest voice that I imagine a kidnapper would use to taunt his victim. That's literally what it sounded like. It's terrifying. Then he leaves and we close. I was scared to drive home and felt like I was being followed or watched. I don't see him for a few days, and then he comes in again pretty close to closing time with his girlfriend, who later I realize always had this weird look on her face, like maybe deep inside she didn't want to be there or around him, but was still affectionate to him, all that. So I said, oh, thank God, maybe he won't be creepy to me. And sure, that time it was a little bit better. He was still incredibly weird, but she was nice and it was easier to talk. Then there was a third time about a week or so later. He came in with the girlfriend again, but she walked out as he came to pay. Again, it was close to closing and there was really no one there. Again, a manager wasn't around, and this is the part that isn't hazy at all because it was just so creepy, and the conversation went like this. "So I talked to my girlfriend. She likes you. If you wanted to, get together with us, she'd be down." after staring at him for about 15 seconds straight. What? Him, smiling creepily. Yeah, would you be down? I literally can't believe this is happening at this point. I'm like nervously laughing and shaking my head and saying, no thank you. Thanks, no. And then he gets all close and looks me dead in the eye with this smile and lowers his voice and says, "You'd be my girl, just like her. How's that sound? You'd be so happy with us, with me. You could quit this job. You won't have to work at all. I pay the rent, for her clothes, everything. Anything she wants, I get. Anything you want, I get you too. What about that, Be so good." And as he's saying this, he keeps leaning further over the counter, and I just said, "No, no? No." Then he grabbed his stuff, because during all of this I had been awkwardly checking out his stuff, and winks at me and says, "You ever change your mind?" and walks out. The next time I see him come in as I'm checking out another guy, and I mother... Shit. Poke him in the eye. That's a good way to deal with someone. Then next time I see him come in as I'm checking out another guy, I mutter something along the lines of, "Oh God, this guy again." Turns out I was checking out his brother. Apparently they were also with their mother, who proceeds to tell this creep I said that about him, and creep comes up and all, of course, creepily says, "You not like me? I heard you didn't want to talk to me. Hurt my feelings. Why are you saying that stuff about me?" And I was just nervously brushing it off and didn't know what to do. And then he left, and I never saw him or his girlfriend again. My manager didn't do anything. Just laughed about it and said, "What? What the heck?" and went about her busyness. Busyness, oh my lord. James Stephen with the 2 Maple Canadians says, "Let's read Joel, you're the best." Thank you, James, I appreciate that. $2 have made me holla. Manager of the year, absolutely, right here. And went about her business. Only one newer supervisor said that was unacceptable, and she would tell him to leave if he ever came in again. But thankfully, he didn't. Okay, here we go. Let's go. Guys, friends, that was story number 10 for the night, for the new video coming out tomorrow. And now we shall read the outro, as you guys are all familiar with. You guys might even be able to recite it for me. Yeah, get the birds chirping. We need the birds chirping. Cheep, 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 cheep. Cheep, cheep, cheep. 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 Cheepity, cheep, cheep. Okay. And this part. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. If you got a story, be sure to submit them to my subreddit, r/Let's Read Official, and give and receive feedback from the community, and maybe even hear your story featured on the next video. And join my Discord to interact with me and other listeners directly. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations for just $1 a month on Patreon. And maybe even pick up some Let's Read merch on Spreadshirt. All the links in the bio. Thanks so much, friends, and I'll see you again soon. Peep, chirp, chip, chirp, peep, peep, peep. Merch. The merch. Merchandising. Merchandise my voice. If I had like a little Let's Read doll where you pull the string, like what kind of stuff would it say? Butter. Butter, butter, butter me up, buttercup. Butter me up, buttercup. Butter me up, buttercup. Well, guys, Lazy here, and thank you guys for listening. Alright, everyone. Thank you for joining in the live stream today. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here again. I'm really enjoying all of this. It's been pretty amazing. We didn't knock on table blue screen today. But yeah, guys, thank you to everyone who donated using Super Chat and otherwise. If you want to check this, if you guys want to check, can I do a raspy voice? If you guys want to see the rest of the stream, be sure to go down into the description down below, and you will see where the streams playlist is. It's also, you can find the playlist called Streams, Gaming, and otherwise, and usually the most recent one is the video at the end. Also check out the podcast. I'll be updating that tomorrow, most likely, or Saturday or something like that. Usually it's at least by Monday. You know, I usually update it on the weekends, but the podcast's fun because it saves on your data and there's no issues or anything, or not issues, but yeah, saves on the data, and you get to listen to like compilations from previous weeks, which is nice if you're looking for like real long videos on the go. Yeah, we went stink bug free this whole time. I didn't see a single one of them, which usually means that they're planning something. Also, yeah, if you guys, I'll be editing this audio together, and you'll be able to get the early access on Patreon for just $1 a month, so that's pretty sweet. And if you guys have stories you want to submit, the links to my Reddit is down below, Let's Read Official, and you can also, if you want to post there, you can feel free to also post on like Our Paranormal, or Let's Not Meet, and various others. Join the Discord if one of the mods want to link the Discord. Join up, and if we can get 1,000 selfies in the selfie thing, you may or may not get to see my face reveal. Merch link is down below. It's Spreadshirt. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram so I can keep you guys up to date on when I am posting. YouTube has like the little like they have like a little thing where it was supposed to be like sort of, what was it? It was almost like a community tab is what it was called, and you could post stuff there and it would notify people, but it seemed to like upset people more that I was like notifying them about stupid stuff rather than just doing it on social media. So people like threatened to like unsubscribe, which I don't understand why that would be the deciding factor in why you're subscribed to a channel, but whatever. Anyways, yeah, be sure to follow on Instagram and Twitter. And I think it would be sweet if I can get to 10,000 followers on Instagram, I will be able to like on my story and stuff like actually put links to when I'm streaming. So like if you're on the phone and you go to the Instagram and then you click on my story and it says, hey, I'm streaming, and I can actually put like a link. I can put like a link, you know, on there, and yeah, so that'd be sick. Also, thank you to Iron Cthulhu Apocalypse for his contribution, as always, to the background creepiness. Much love to everyone. Yeah, so we finished out with 91 mess-ups throughout all of that, so I'd say that's pretty solid. If we can keep it under 100, I am happy. Oh, Yes, so friends, thank you guys again for all the donations, all the love, and I'm so happy that I get to do this now, and I can't believe I didn't think about it earlier. Lamp, yes, we all love Lamp. And it's been a great way to interact with all of you and everyone to show their support has been awesome. And then, but at the same time, still just as many people are watching the main videos and stuff. I think the quality is definitely better once I'm able to put the editing into it and all that kind of stuff. So love you guys. See you on Discord, maybe, if you guys decide to come over. Everything that I just previously mentioned in the description below, and all of my videos in their descriptions as well. So adios, and till I see you again soon. Oh yeah, and the new video will be out tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is the East Coast of the United States. But you already knew that. Okay. Goodbye.